Welcome, everybody. Welcome to whatever you want to call this, where we aim when people ask for, we wish there was something on YouTube. That's what we try to be, something on YouTube. Welcome, my
I think we've
lovely.
already succeeded.
Please welcome my lovely assistant for this evening, the high and mighty Kristen Melinda. Yes.
That was me rocking out to the opener. Old school concert with the lighters.
So, Kristen, have you ever heard of anything called the gateway process? And I don't mean the computers that used to come in cow boxes.
No, I've heard of none of this,
Okay.
but I saw you sharing some like tidbits here and there. So I'm super excited to hear more about it.
Yes.
It sounded pretty
Well,
heavy.
it it is by far one of the most strange things I've seen the CIA declassified. The report, yeah, it's a declassified CIA report.
That
Um,
looks flippin' official. That looks like you showed up to a really fancy office with like really nice shoes, and they said, "Excuse me, sir, do you have clearance to be here?" And they were like, "Oh, get out of the way. It's Mr. Ben Bacon Bits. He's allowed to be here."
oh my. I wasn't quite sure where that would go, but that's interesting. The the report was actually written of U.S. Army intelligence Light Colonel, sorry, McDowell was the author of the document. The document is titled "Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Protocol." It was originally penned as a method or a potential method for, at the time it was written for the Army military intelligence, but the CIA got a hold of it and, of course, immediately classified it, where it sat for 20 years before it was declassified in 2003. I'm quite shocked that this document has been declassified. It's by far, yeah, it was one of the the wildest thing I've seen them declassify, with the exception possibly of MK Ultra.
So it was brand spanking new in like what, 1983,
Yeah,
and it
1983 was when it was
and
penned.
it sat on ice until '03, and then
Yep.
they said, "Everybody, look at what we did."
Well, what's fascinating is after it was declassified, the CIA was missing part of it, and people kept asking them where was the missing part, and the CIA kept saying, "Well, we don't have it." And finally, a institution called the Monroe Institution, they actually had the full document and they released it as well. That wasn't until not that long ago, actually. Um,
The Monroe Institute. Okay.
they
No relation to Maryland, right?
no, not Marilyn or Marilyn Manson or Charles Manson.
None of
Good
the
old Chucky.
Marylands or the Charleses
Yes, yes,
is okay.
yes. Uh, the paper relies heavily on a lot of different experts, and understanding the subject, you kind of understand why. Um Experts include David Bohr, who was a Danish physicist who made fundamental contributions to understanding atomic structure and quantum theory, for which he received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1922. Bohr was also a philosopher and promoter of scientific research. Bohr founded the Institute of Theoretical Physics at the University of Copenhagen. Itzhak Bentov is an Israeli American scientist, inventor, mystic, and author. His many inventions include the cardiac catheter, steerable cardiac catheter. He also did several things dealing with the heart, like something that helps you detect different pathways opening up and things like
So that's
that.
stuff that helps keep us alive when we have heart
Yes.
emergencies. So helpful fellow.
Another one, another name. Of course, there's a lot of names that pop up in this document. Another name is Carl Prebaum, who is a neuroscientist who first proposed the holographic model of the brain, which forms a key theoretical foundation for understanding consciousness in this report.
Holographic, really?
Yep, yep.
My brain,
It gets
like my brain is a holograph. Like
not just your brain.
what?
Um,
What?
yes. Um, he was a professor at Georgetown University, an emeritus professor of psychology and psychiatry at Stanford University. He also was at Radford University, board certified neurosurgeon. Prebaum did a lot of the early work and actually helped define the limbic system, the relationship of the frontal cortex to the limbic system. Oops, I just
I'm
smashed my
like
mic.
I'm reviewing my brain anatomy here. Okay, I think I remember.
He worked, yeah, I can keep going. He was at Yale University for 10 years and, yeah, Stanford for 30. Robert Monroe, who's the founder of the Monroe Institute, he's also a prominent figure. And of all things, Marilyn Ferguson. Somebody may remember her as being the author of the 1980 book, The Aquarian Conspiracy, which is, this is kind of a very odd mix.
I don't know this book, but now I'm going to write it down.
She was also editor and publisher of the blah, 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 Brain Mind Science Bulletin,
Hmm.
1975 to 1996. She eventually earned several honorary degrees, served on the board of the Institute of Noetic Sciences.
Noetic.
Noetic. Like
Hmm.
Noel, but not.
But
It's
noetic.
exactly like Noel.
Noetic with a T. Okay.
Yes.
It's really exciting to me when I hear a word I don't know. I don't know what noetic means.
Well, actually, with all the words I've had to look up, that's not one of them. Well, no, actually, no, I'll change that. It is one I needed to look up, but one I failed to because we just envision the laziness, embody the laziness, let the laziness flow.
Become the laziness.
Yes. Yes. Because, yes. Oh,
Become the laziness. It is
yes.
already you. But now it's going to bug me. I have to look it up. Noetic. Relating to mental activity or the intellect. Okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense with everything else you said. Okay.
Yeah. There are
We're
several
back.
others, but yeah, they're just mentioned in passing, so I figured just go ahead and limit to those. Yes. Well, this document starts out strange and it goes downhill from there. It appears that the document was mainly written to help give military intelligence agents for the United States Army a leg up, and as well as improved mental cognition and several other things, according to this document. Document starts off just by stating that it is very, how do I put this without it sounding, I'm trying to monitor my language because this can get really heady real quick. This one's a heavy one. Uh, they start off saying that there could be a lot of connotations to this that sound, what's the term am I thinking for? Occultic. And so
Hmm.
they try to go into this from the standpoint of science. To start off with, they start with a primer as to what hypnosis is, which they just quickly defined according to the theories of psychologist Ronald Stone and a biomedical engineering model of Itzhak Benthoff. Hypnosis is basically a technique which permits acquisition of direct access to the sensory motor cortex, pleasure centers, and cerebral portions and associated pleasure centers on the right side of the human brain. Following successful disengagement of the stimulus screening function of the left hemisphere of the brain. It
Well, that's
goes on
interesting.
to bring up
Sorry, go on.
transcendental meditation. On the other hand,
Mm.
transcendental meditation works distinctly in a different fashion. In this technique, intense and protracted single mindedness concentration on the process of drawing up energy from the spinal cord ultimately results in what appears to be creation of acoustical standing waves in the cerebral ventricles, which are then conducted to the gray matter of the cerebral cortex on the right side of the brain. And then they bring up biofeedback, somewhat unique in that it employs the self cognitive powers of the left hemisphere to gain to such areas of the right brain as the lower cerebral motor and sensory cortexes and associated pain or pleasure centers.
That's interesting. Both hypnosis and biofeedback still get used by some like
Yes.
mental health therapists today,
Yes.
but that description is a lot more specific. Like basically, like if you go to see your psychotherapist and they're using hypnosis, it's really just like a relaxation
Mhm.
exercise to help you chill out so you're not as
Yes.
nervous about talking about what you're talking about. And then biofeedback, I mean, I've used very simple biofeedback. Like I have a pulse oximeter with a heart rate monitor, and
Mhm.
someone puts it on their finger. We practice deep breathing, and they get to see how their heart rate slows down. I mean,
True.
technically, that's biofeedback,
Yes.
but this sounds a lot more complicated and maybe used for a lot more, I don't know, spooky things. It sounds spooky, Ben. Is it
Well,
just me?
so far, it's not super bad. Then it goes on just to give a real quick description of gateway and hemisync. Now, it briefly describes the
Hemisync.
mechanics of the principal techniques for altering or expanding consciousness. I am quoting heavily from the document, and this
Okay.
is to keep me from going to going off with the squirrels with this one. Yes, it's kind of like that. Let's see, for altering or expanding consciousness which share some of the objectives and or methods employed by the gateway experience. We may proceed to focus on what that technique actually involves. Fundamentally, the gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemispheres so as to alter consciousness, moving it outside the physical sphere so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space.
So it's like boot camp to make your brain super brain and be able to control the universe.
Yes. Yes, and that,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
The
Where do
Army's
I
aim,
sign up?
yeah, it was primarily for intelligent gathering, enhanced focus, and remote viewing, possibly for surveillance.
What?
Okay, one of the yes, here's where it starts getting in the weeds. Solid matter in the strict construction of the term simply does not exist. Rather, atomic structure is composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids which orbit at extremely high speeds. In his book, Stalking the Wild Pendulum, Itzhak Bentov gives the following figures. The energy grid, which composes the nucleus of the atom, vibrates at approximately 10 to the 22nd hertz, which means 10 followed by 22 zeros. At 70 degrees Fahrenheit, an atom oscillates at the rate of 10 to 15 hertz. An entire molecule composed of the number of atoms bound together in a single energy field vibrates in the range of 10 to 9 hertz. A live human cell vibrates at approximately 10 to the third hertz. The point to be made is the entire human being, brain consciousness, and all is, like the universe that surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinary complex system of energy fields. Basically, what he's saying here is physical matter does not exist as we understand it. That you think of of this matter, but basically he's saying that everything is just vibrational, and if it
So like
wasn't for
this
that vibration, your hands would just simply pass through each other.
so
Like
like
you
this
could,
guy, like he looks solid, but he's not really solid. He's just like atoms moving slowly,
yeah,
Mr. Pickle.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. And like
and,
I guess
and
like if it's faster, then it would be what, like liquid or something like that, if they're moving faster.
I think yes, actually, I think if they're moving faster, it doesn't really go into what the different states and what the vibration of different
Huh.
states of matter
Okay.
are. He's
Okay.
mainly talking about atoms themselves.
Okay.
And the point he's making, or the point he does make later on, is simply that the entire universe would be like the example actually is brought up that you'd have like a radio tower and you have an FM receiver or a
Mhm.
radio receiver. That receiver only receives one radio station, even though
Mhm.
there's tons of radio frequencies out there. And now what you can do is you can tune that radio receiver to go to any other station.
Oh, and the idea is what you're supposed to be able to tune your brain to pick up other stations?
Um, pretty much, pretty much
Matrix
other
Rabbit, hi.
other
He said,
stations and or well, other realities.
like
Um,
multiverse stuff?
no, he doesn't really go into multi. He doesn't go into multiverse. Not outwardly.
Not exactly. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he does go into time. He does go into time pretty big. He goes into space, of course. He goes into dimensionality. Um, yes, he talks about the what they use hemisync for, hemispherical synchronization.
Mhm.
Here you start talking the basics of binaural beats. Let's
Oh,
see
does
if
he
I
talk
can.
about how that's supposed to work?
Yes. What happens is your ears could never hear 10 hertz. But with binaural
Okay.
beats, what we can do here, and if anybody has any reactions, please just go ahead and turn this off. We can play a right. We can play a sound at 100 hertz in the right side of your ear. Sounds solid tone. Play in the left side of your ear at 110 hertz. Solid tone. But when you put these two together, what you hear is oscillation.
I don't hear anything.
You don't
Maybe
hear
my
anything.
hearing's broke.
Oh,
Maybe it's
oh
me.
man.
Maybe it's me, Ben.
Oh man. Oh, maybe my thing is not working either. Can
Matrix
you
Rabbit
can
put
you
it like,
hear can you hear that?
yes, yes, I can hear that. Woo!
Can you hear you can't hear that?
Okay, I hear something, but it's really, really low volume.
Okay.
Maybe I just busted out my hearing as a 20 something going to concerts standing next to the speakers. Maybe it's me.
Okay. How about let's see here. Can you hear that?
Yeah, yeah, got it.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically what he's talking about. Having two different frequencies playing in your ears, and what happens is your brain or your hearing can never hear 10 hertz, but what it hears when it hears 100 hertz and 110 hertz, what your brain does is it hears the difference, and it will
Okay.
oscillate. So
Okay.
that is how hemisync works to stimulate your sides of your brain to get them into synchronization with each other. Your brain actually works on two different frequencies. The left side works at the 13 to 30 hertz range, whereas the right side works to 8 to 13 hertz.
Why do they live on different frequencies?
The right
Like my
side of your
brain's not talking to itself.
the right side of your brain works slower than the left side, which is interesting.
Huh. Well,
But
if I remember right, isn't the right side of our brain, isn't that like I
right
always mix
side's a,
them up.
right side's the
Sorry, go
party
on.
zone.
Yeah, yeah, it's like creativity and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And left is like my logic and my math, which I just don't. I don't have the math part. It skipped me. A little bit
Well,
of the logic is there though.
apparently the logic center of your brain, what will happen a lot of times, if it receives something it doesn't understand, it will block it. That's
Oh,
what a lot of
that makes a lot
times,
of sense, actually.
yeah, a lot of times that's like I think I've used confusion statements before.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
what that does is that sets up the right side of your brain to be tasked with something to where you can slip by a command or suggestion. I mean, you can't. It's not as powerful as giving somebody something really super harmful. I mean, you couldn't like say go out and do something to somebody, but you can slip simple suggestions in, like you can relax, you can breathe easy. You could probably slip in. You feel tense. You could go the opposite direction as well. But
Hmm.
I mean, to a limited degree, that is how that would. That is how that works. I suck at math too. Yeah, I feel your pain. It gets so hard doing trig at work.
You're in a different zone of math if you can even do trig at work. Uh, I'm good at some things. I can't do math in my head. Like
I can't either.
like if you
I
see
have,
somebody, I will still count on my fingers for certain things. That's why I went
yes.
into a field focused on communicating,
Well,
not
this,
on
this
calculating.
this is one thing I've actually wanted to play with and test out, but I haven't had the opportunity. There are a lot of hemisync, and it's not hemisync isn't just for this purpose. I mean, you can buy hemisync tapes or audio, not tapes, um, that deal with ADHD, where it's the same concept: binaural beats, binaural two neural, um, where you can have two different frequencies playing, but they use it for ADHD. You can do it for OCD. There's all sorts of things. The Monroe Foundation uses hemi a lot like in the 80s, which you wouldn't remember. In the late 80s, there was a massive explosion of subliminal tapes that people would
Oh yeah.
play to build confidence and things like that. And they had a lot of
Like the
limited
episode of Friends where
success.
Chandler quits smoking and he listens to the
Yeah.
tape at night. You are a strong and capable woman who doesn't need
Yeah.
cigarettes.
Yes, that is exactly it. And the thing is that a lot of it's arguable about the success of how well subliminal really worked. But with this concept, they use hypnosis, subliminal,
Mm.
binaural. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you
Mm.
for this.
So is hemisync a type of binaural beats, or
It
are
basically,
those terms like interchangeable, or is hemisync like very specific type of
I
binaural
think
beats?
hemisync is probably a. It's actually probably a. I haven't checked to see if it's copyrighted. I think that might be a subdivision of binaural. Yeah, binaural.
Okay.
I think hemisync is specific binaural, maybe brand name-ish, but they all work on the same principle of having two different frequencies. Hemisync does tend to some of their stuff does have guided meditation on
Mm.
top of it versus a lot of your binaural, that's all you're getting.
Yeah, it's just the tones,
Strict,
yeah.
yeah. Strict
Because
tone.
I've looked up like binaural tones or beats like for focus before,
Mhm.
like if I'm trying to work somewhere where there's a lot of background noise and I'll put those in it. It's basically just but it, I can kind of ignore it, but it kind of blocks other
Yeah,
stuff out.
sure.
Um,
Yeah,
so
and
I've
I
heard
don't,
those before.
and that was one thing I haven't really gotten into this heavily with my study of healing frequencies. I've just started to get into binaural, but I've had the exact same exposure of using it for ADHD. Seems to have a little bit of success, but I
Yeah.
haven't really tried it hardcore. I've run through this process once.
The hemisync?
I got a little ways, and some of the suggest because hemisync, at least for the gateway process, it's that, like I said, plus guided meditation, plus subliminal.
So you did the whole protocol that's supposed
I
to make your brain super and control the
I
universe?
started to. It's actually quite drawn out. I just did the intro. Um, yeah, you can't find a lot of the tapes online. Or I keep saying tapes. That is the that is
We
what
know
the
what you mean.
original that is what the original was. It was a series of
Cassette
tapes.
tapes.
It's
Yeah.
turned into CDs, and I don't think that the whole thing is on YouTube,
No.
but um, yeah, there are parts in just the opener that concern me. So I was like, I'm gonna back off
Hmm.
until I can get a little more digging in, a little more time to dig into this.
Matrix Rabbit said he made subliminal message tapes in the 80s.
Oh,
Did you
interesting.
hypnotize people to quack like a duck? So the gateway thing, the gateway method, it's supposed to it's supposed to help you be super, like basically be like the limitless thing. Only it's not a pill. It's like protocol. It's a thing that you do. It's like you listen to the beats, you do the certain kind of meditation, and it's supposed to make you super smart, super effective.
Well,
Is that the gist of it? Am I understanding that right?
basically,
Okay.
what it's supposed. Well, yes,
Are you
yes.
supposed to be able to like spy on your enemies like across the world once your brain gets super sized? Sorry.
Well, hmm,
I'm envisioning like Pinky and the Brain, like Brain's head.
I
That's what I'm
you
envisioning.
I feel so much like jumping to the end, but I will resist for
Okay,
now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting. I'm
but yes,
sorry.
but yes, that is part of the process, and it's actually fairly involved. Um, Turns out you don't have to be a government agent to dig into this. Literally anybody can learn this. Now, to learn the whole thing, which I'll get into a little bit, it requires a lot of discipline,
Mm,
a lot of
I'm
discipline,
out.
a lot of focus. But yes, when I tell you some of the objectives of some of the levels of focus, yeah, one of the things the document then goes into, yes, trying to relax my neck, frequent following response, or FFR, is the phenomenon where the brain tends to follow and synchronize external rhythms. The gateway tapes,
Okay.
again, the word tapes is used in this document heavily because that was the de facto media of the day, the easiest thing to produce without having to go to mass productions, because this is 83. CDs were just before the event horizon there. So
1983. CDs weren't a thing yet. They weren't like till the
not
90s, right?
widespread, but I
Yeah.
think you had a few, but they were probably prohibitively
Fancy,
expensive.
weird, rich people things.
Yes. The gateway tapes exploit this by introducing frequencies associated with sleep or deep relaxation. That's always a joy of doing this live. I was going to do this recorded, but what the heck? Why not?
But
or
then I
deep,
egged you on.
or yes, yes. I have one of my friends in Vegas keeps saying this is what happens when you go live.
That's what makes life fun, though.
Yes, you get to interact with people like makers. There are
And he has
places
a
that
lot of
we teach
cool
remote viewing.
content.
Oh yeah, and I can go into remote viewing because there's another. Well, I'll just diverge quickly. There's another CIA program called Project Stargate, not the Stargate of uh, you know Cheyenne Mountain Stargate SG-1,
Okay.
but Same time frame, long before the Stargate movie was even a glint in the creator's eye. Yeah, they had Project Stargate that involved remote viewing, and that is also something which the CIA declassified. Anybody can learn it, including
Ooh.
me. And
Did
I've
you
gone
learn
through
it
the
then?
course. Yeah, I went through the course for it. I'm
The
still
whole
working
thing?
on it. I'm still working on it, honestly. I'm still working on the last few exercises because I'm trying to go back through the course and rework it all
This is
before
the
I
course
try the last
specifically for remote
exercises.
viewing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's remote viewing.
okay.
This is more astral projection, other dimensions. I'll say
So I
it.
had a period
See.
of my life when I was like 13 to 15
Hmm.
where like I was reading a lot about like Wicca and neo-paganism and they talk about like astral projection and that
Hmm.
aspect but it never get it just like the way it's described in books like that it's like you just have to take it all on faith and just believe that it's a thing. Um what you're describing sounds more scientific, like here's what the atoms do, here's what the energy fields do. Like it makes it seem a little bit, I don't know,
This
realer
this
to me, like
this document does
tangible.
go into that. Yeah, and the remote viewing for Project Stargate, it is far different than what you might think of. It is
Hmm.
strictly right brain operation. When you draw what you're seeing, you're drawing it with the right brain, which is very difficult to do. And what you're trying to do is keep your imagination at bay, and that is extremely hard to do. One
Mm.
of the things they talk about is if you see something clearly, chances are you're not. Chances are it's your imagination. So what you do is you see something really clear, you write it down, say this is what basically this is what I'm seeing. Set your pen down for I think it's 3 seconds.
I'm gonna try.
Just sit back and you try to empty that image from your mind. Then go back to the other things that you were seeing, tasting, smelling, feeling. Um, but yes, anybody can learn um, Project Stargate.
That
Um,
sounds really cool. How long
so
does it take to learn Project Stargate?
it's taken me a couple weeks.
Wow. But you also have a full-time job and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that
It's a
okay.
short course. It is a short
Okay.
course,
Okay.
but I also proceed very slowly, and I was also very critical.
Okay, so you were
Very
going at
critical.
it with like a
This is all
skeptical
BS.
eye. Like, does this
Yes.
exist? I don't know.
Yeah.
This
I don't
seems like
believe
I
this.
don't know. You weren't
Yeah.
going into it like full throttle, like this is gonna make me master of the universe. You
I
were
was I was
critical.
interested, but highly critical. But the course wasn't that much. It's like, what the heck? It's going to be fun to try.
Yeah.
But yeah, um,
Open-minded, yet skeptical. I like it.
but yeah, it can cause unexpected consequences when when you see things that are at variance with, or not see things rather, when you analyze your belief system of what you've been taught versus what you experience, it kind of causes you to reevaluate what did I learn, what did I believe, and why. You put everything on the table. You think, and they even go into this for Project Stargate. They talk about they had somebody they show a few intro videos, and they show somebody who is I think he's from Popular Science
Mhm.
magazine, Popular Mechanics, one of those popular magazines. And he took the class, and when he actually penned out things, and like he's drawing out a church, and that was the target that he was supposed to draw out. You're given a text, you're given a description of like, here's coordinates. You don't have access to a computer, so you just draw out what you see. When he saw the actual item portrayed in a photograph, yeah, the next scene they show of him, he's out by the pool drinking and smoking and not talking to anybody. He's just kind of Like, yeah, I have to think about this for a while because there's a lot of different reasons for that. But maybe it's the satanic panic where everybody was raised. This involves things antithetical to your religious view, possibly, or maybe you're critical thinking this doesn't exist, this is all fake, and you see something firsthand that's like, okay, the chances of that extremely low. I mean, some of it you can say, okay, it'd be like this the way they were debunking psychics back in 80s and 90s. A lot of them would say, okay, I see an airplane crash.
Oh, Miss
In the
Cleo.
month of October, it's got red on the plane. It's got red on the back. That's they're just
I
playing
know she was
percentages.
taking people's money, but I kind of miss
Yeah,
Cleo. I miss Miss Cleo.
yeah. I see a dead body. It's close. It's within 10 miles of a body of water. You know, things like that. That versus um, seeing a building, knowing the color of it, knowing what the interior layout is, knowing the paths that lead from it down
More
to
specific.
other places. Yeah, things like that. It's like,
Yeah.
you think, okay, yeah, this is just it's something to go into. You think, okay, this is going to be lighthearted, but you're like, what am I experiencing? How
Right.
does this work? What is Because you know that the chances of random events, when you start getting things that specific, it's like this isn't really random. You kind of expect, oh yeah, it's all this stuff's going to enter my brain, and oh yes, I'm just going to write. No, you know, you write down your abnormal events. You have a long list of stuff that you saw that you just reject out of hand because you know it's your imagination. You have a long list of that, but then the stuff that's left over, it's like, okay, it's cold there. I hear water running. I hear the sound of wind through trees. I see trees. I see mountains. It's, you start getting into things like underground.
Hmm.
There is this on top of the ground. I haven't really gotten into a lot of it as far as people and things like that, but inanimate objects, yeah. And it's it's a paradigm shift.
I could see where getting really into something like this, and if you're finding that it's effective and you're able to accurately see things that you actually are not physically in the vicinity of to be able to see, I could see where that might cause anyone to kind of start to question their reality. And that's a head trip. That's a big head
Yeah,
trip for
yeah,
anybody.
and yeah. I don't want to get people confused. It's not like you're. I don't want to say you're not seeing things with perfect clarity. You're not. It's nothing. I'm probably not doing myself any favors in my description of it. I'll put it like
So,
that. But
like, let me ask, is it an actual like visualization, like in your mind?
mhm,
Like, can you actually like sort of see in your head, like, hallways or whatever it is you're trying
yeah.
to see? Okay, so it's not like I have the concept of a hallway, I have words to describe a hallway. It's like I am seeing a hallway and translating it into words.
Oh, yeah, yeah. A lot. Yeah, most of it is not. Yeah, I'm just receiving words, but you're writing down what you see, what you smell, what you taste, um, what you hear. Your all your sensory input, and you jot for Project Stargate. They're going through that. You jot down everything really quickly in groups of
Okay.
three, and you just keep. First when you do it, it's like all the stuff. A lot of it can be akin to. It's not, but a lot of times what you hear about automatic writing, it's kind
Yeah.
it's kind of like that impression. It's like this must be what, but it's not. And I know it's not just because I know people that done that, and it's not that. In some of the later exercises in Stargate, they start getting into, if you're not seeing anything, you just get yourself used to doing it, kind of fake it till you make it, and
Hmm.
eventually stuff will start popping in for you. But
Matrix,
yeah,
I know Miss Cleo was a con woman, but she sure was funny.
oh yeah, and that's the thing is, and I still hold to
I mean,
a
not funny
lot.
that she took a bunch of people's money,
Yeah,
but
yeah, and
she's funny on TV.
I still hold to. I mean, yeah, my brains and my mind wasn't so open. My brains fell out. I still hold to a lot of what mentalists will teach. It's like, no, this doesn't exist. This is I'm doing this from, I'm doing this because I'm influencing you to do this, or I'm doing sleight of hand to make it appear like I'm doing this kind of thing.
Mm,
But yeah, it's starting to get to where you hold two belief systems in tension, which
hmm.
is kind of cognitive, maybe cognitive dissonance.
So where does the so this is the hypnosis part of it is interesting to me, and like the sides of your brain and like trying to like synchronize those or whatever. That's super interesting to me right now because I just started EMDR training, eye
Mhm,
movement desensitization reprocessing, which is specifically for trauma. And
mhm,
it's you talk through memories while you're like following something visual with your eyes, like a blue dot going back and forth across the screen. You can
mhm,
also use audio. You can use like the tones one ear to the other. They also they're put away right now, but they also have these things called tappers. You hold
mhm,
them in your hands and it like sort of has like a really gentle like buzz in one and then the other. So it doesn't even have to be eye movement. It's going back and
yeah,
forth. And before I started training, I always thought like, oh, it must be something about the way your eyes are moving. But then when I got into it, I learned that actually it's not about what you're looking at all.
mhm,
It's about having something to tax your working memory to basically distract you enough
mhm,
that it's not as super intense to go through whatever it is you're talking through,
yeah.
which I thought about that and I thought about that. And it's super effective. Like I was the guinea pig in my class and I was like, wow, this is cool. This actually works if you're comfortable doing it. But then I
Yeah.
thought, where do you draw the line between this and hypnosis? I don't know a whole lot about hypnosis, but isn't that basically what hypnosis is doing? It's like taxing your working memory so you don't notice something is being suggested to you. I mean, I know in EMDR, the way I've been taught, I'm not doing anything
Mhm,
except saying, "Tell me what comes up for you next. What comes
yeah.
up for you next?" Like, there's absolutely like, I'm not leading anyone in any way. But if I
Well,
were, that could be bad, right?
well, a lot of hypnosis, most hypnosis, the vast majority of hypnosis works off relaxation just to get your body
Yeah.
down to that state to where then you're talking. Ultimately, you're trying to go to the subconscious.
Yeah.
Now, to get there, you'll have to go through quite a bit. Um, but yeah, most hypnosis, a lot of people, there was a movie out about where somebody gets hypnotized and the hypnotizer is able to, she's running out the door, he's able to say, freeze, and then she locks up and she can't move.
It's
But
like
the problem,
magical.
yeah, and there's a lot of problems with that, and the fact is that you can, and well, I don't know if I should get into this, but
Hi, Maya.
you
Sorry.
once you engage fear being such a base emotion down as far as where the brain stem,
Oh,
the lower
yeah.
part of your brain, fear's pretty
Super
primal.
amygdalic.
That that will usually kick you out of hypnosis. I mean, how the any
Okay.
hypnotic state, the second you start, oh my god, I'm locked up. You could have like a split second, but it's nothing like where the gal in the movie where she's frozen, the guy's able to, she's like, ah, and the guy's able to walk up to her
It's not
calmly, and
like
yeah, it's
not like Sub-Zero freezing, like sorry, Mortal
yeah,
Kombat.
and a lot of the things in there would take multiple sessions. Yeah, Darren Brown, when he hypnotized somebody to kill somebody else, it took multiple sessions, and he had to find somebody who was a good match for him. A lot of hypnosis people keep thinking, well, I'm not able to hypnotize. Most of I think hypnosis is 70%, no 80. I think it might be 85. And now I think of it, eighty
A
five
lot.
percent of the person the person delivering it. Only 15% of it, as far as if you're going to be hypnotized, is involves the person themselves. Most of it is, does the person have authority in your eyes? Do you have confidence? Are
So
you
it's about,
comfortable with
do I
them and everything?
believe that person?
Yeah, yeah, basically.
That's what would theoretically enable a person to hypnotize me is, do
Mhm.
I believe them? Basically.
Are you relaxed? Because yeah, you could sit there and just sit there. And, it's nothing that can be done against your will. I mean,
Right, right.
if you want to, you can sit through a hypnosis session, completely, completely rejecting it all the time. You're just
Yeah.
saying to
Like if
yourself,
you've
"This is
been telling
BS."
yourself,
Yeah,
this isn't gonna work on me, and you do the arms, then I
yeah,
guess
yeah. I
it's
mean,
not gonna work.
you could conceivably go through that. You know, now there's some types of hypnosis maybe that would still affect you, like if you stared at the spinning wheel, if you
Mhm.
stared at a field of driving in snow. It's the star field pattern where you start to see, stars just constantly, flakes of snow in this case doing this number. Yeah, something like
Sorry.
that.
I just had it. Actually,
Yes.
that's a really old pocket watch. It's like 100 years old. I shouldn't play with it.
Yes, deep, going back to frequency following and response, deep relaxation like we would have with um, hypnosis, such as theta waves, encouraging the brain to match these frequencies and ease into altered consciousness. Resonance is also crucial here. It is as it is believed, by syncing brain frequencies with the universal or earth-based electromagnetic frequencies, the mind enters a harmonic state, facilitating higher states of consciousness. Now, the document draws heavily on holographic theory, particularly the work of Carl Prebaum and physicist David Bohm, who theorized the brain and the universe operate similarly to holograms. In this model, each part of the brain stores information about the whole of the universe, implying that consciousness can potentially access any information across time and space. Any part of a hologram contains information about the whole. And they get into this saying that you have base reality, God, and things like that, and you have other realities built on top of it, and we are just this tiny layer up here, and that our brains just happen to see reality. And of course, we're in tune with reality, and it's easy to think, oh well, our brains can control reality. Well, you have to do a lot, even according to this document. I would point out you have to do a lot to get into another reality, and also your body's still in this reality. You can astrally
Good night,
project, but your
Matrix.
body's still here, and that is just borne out by the fact that people are killed by things they don't see coming all the time. If it required belief to interact with this reality, that wouldn't happen. Somebody wouldn't get squashed by a jeep they didn't ever saw coming. You wouldn't get hit by an artillery shell that because a lot of those things move at faster than sound, so you
Yeah,
don't hear
that
it
makes
coming.
sense.
You see
Yeah.
explosion and you hear the boom. That wouldn't happen if you could not be killed unawareingly. If it required your belief in it, yeah, that wouldn't happen. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's not as simple as just I'm not going to believe it, or I believe I'm in an altered reality. You still have to do, even according to this document, you still have to do all this work to get your body and mind in tune with the other frequency that you're wanting to go through.
So we're holograms? What?
Mhm.
Is Herman a hologram too?
Yeah, Herman be a hologram.
How dare you? Sorry, I had to find a way to Matrix requested.
By achieving a coherent state, it is hoisted that consciousness can tune in to the universal hologram, accessing information not available through ordinary perception. Quantum mechanics and click out phenomenon. Okay, here's where we go
Click
with.
out? Like click out of the window?
Yes,
What? What is this?
this is actually in the document. This is this is hand drawn. It was 1983. Uh, so
This
yes.
drawing is older than me, Ben.
Oh,
Sorry.
just throw that in my face. I remember 1983.
Only 4 years older. I was born in 87.
In quantum mechanics, what you have is this concept of Planck's distance. That would be, yes, you can see at the bottom. I wish you could see my mouse, but unfortunately you can't the way I'm sharing this document. The bottom and the top 10 to the minus 33 centimeters, that is indicating Planck's distance. And what happens at 10 to the minus 33 Planck's distance, the laws of physics break down. And what that is talking about is when you get smaller than 10 to the, this is centimeters, 10
That's
to the negative
tiny.
33, that'd be 33 zeros in front of that to let you know how small we're talking. But yes, the laws of physics break down. So what this is saying is you get this brain, this frequency going through your body as it reaches the top and the bottom. That what will happen is each time you hit those, you will essentially click out, your brain will click out of existence, or your consciousness rather.
What?
So basically it would be, you have a waveform doing this number. What happens at the wave is just you have a lot of movement. You get down to the bottom, real slow movement. Go up, pretty fast, slow movement. Down, slow movement. Up, slow movement. As it rounds the corner, it's moving very slow, and then all your speed is in the straightaway, so to speak. So what happens? What they theorize that what happens is, as you get that slow movement, as you start getting that to go faster and faster, that basically your brain will lock into basically what they call click out.
Like your brain can no longer, like you can't perceive it anymore because it's too
Well,
fast, or
you're no longer in. You're
you're
no
just not
longer here.
conscious anymore.
No, you're still conscious. It's just that your brain is not operating on this plane. So
It's like in. Oh, okay. Then where is it?
your physical brain's here, but your consciousness is, who knows? Um,
That's cool.
Principle based on Planck's distance from quantum mechanics, suggesting that brain waves oscillate between rest and motion. That's what we talked about earlier. Each time brain activity reaches a moment of rest, it theoretically clicks out of our time space dimension. I had to keep pronouncing that because I'm used to space time, but okay, time space dimension, and briefly enters an infinite space or the absolute. Thus, as almost continuous click out pattern establish itself in continuous phase at speeds below Planck's distance, but before reaching the out of state of total rest, human consciousness passes through the looking glass of time space, entering the fashion of Alice beginning her journey into Wonderland. The gateway experience with this associated hemisync technique is apparently designed, if used systematically and patiently, to enable human consciousness to establish a coherent pattern of perception in those dimensions where speeds below Planck distance apply.
So how
By,
did?
by
Sorry, go on.
maintaining
So how do you physically get your brain to click out? Like what do you, like how do you, is it by do you play a
hemisync,
tone
yeah,
to you use the
yeah,
hemisync thing
yeah,
with the
you do
binaural
that,
beats. It's
yeah,
supposed to get
that
your brain to click
frequency,
out and
yeah.
go to who knows where, but
Well,
not
yeah,
here.
to use, yeah, you're doing the hemisync, listening to that. You're also going through meditation.
Okay.
And what was the other thing we were talking about? Subliminal.
Right,
A
right.
little bit.
Hi, Rick Spicer.
Not much subliminal, but mostly assistance into. And of course, you have to consciously think of this. It's nothing where you just sit there and, okay, I'm doing this. No, it's an actual exercise you run through.
You can't just like fall asleep
Yeah.
listening to this. There,
Well,
it's not passive, it's active.
and that is interestingly, that is where that is how Robert Monroe got
Mm.
started. Is he was laying in bed one night and he basically woke up and he was floating above his bed looking down at his body. And
Oh,
he started doing this experiment. He was able to do that 9 times in 6 weeks.
on
So then
purpose.
he started
That's
writing
interesting.
books on it. Here's how you do this. He started Monroe Institute, and that's where they started digging into a lot of different techniques. One of them being hemisync. But hemisync is part of the gateway, but gateway is not just hemisync.
Okay.
It's one of the methodologies
It's
used
part
in
of
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's part of the protocol. Gotcha. Because like a protocol is like you do this, then you do that, then you do this. Um,
Yes.
like we had to learn a lot of protocols in psych testing and stuff like that because you have to administer the test the same way to every person. Otherwise, it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yes.
Because the variable is supposed to be in the person. Ooh, more
This
pictures.
this here is again, and I shouldn't do this with my mouse because nobody can see my mouse, so they don't see what I'm pointing to. I should have done it on a separate screen because that the mouse would work. But yes, the middle diagram, what you have is it's very hard to see, and I had Misha do an AI construction of this. Well, you
Oh,
have in the
cool.
middle ones, you have the very middle part. You on the right side, you have a white hole.
Hmm.
On the left side, you have the black hole. What this diagram is basically showing is the entire universe goes into a black hole and then through a white hole and then basically expands. This is theorizing that what's happening is our universe is on the right side of the diagram because it's still expanding. And then what will
Mhm.
eventually happen is it goes through, goes into the back of it, and then gets sucked into a black hole. What this is important for is it shows basically time and space. That if you're outside, you are where you are, you can access any part of this model. Uh, she did this for the
Ooh, wow.
entrance. Yeah, and that's AI generated. She did a really
That's
extremely
beautiful.
good job.
Holy moly.
And here it is from the top. It's kind of, but yeah, really cool things.
Wow.
And then coming out the Whitehall side. But yeah, I'm really happy with what Misha is able to do with
That's so
AI.
pretty.
And here's the Monroe Institute. But yeah, I really do like that
Cool.
one.
That reminds me of like electron microscope images of cells and neurons.
Yeah,
This is what this reminds me of.
yes. Um, here we go. Boom.
So I wonder why they decided to declassify it. Like, is it just because, like, is it just tradition? They declassify things
I,
after
I
a
think
certain amount of
it might have been time. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff in here, which is like, I can't believe you declassified it. Yeah, let's try to speed up slightly. The report references Bentov's cosmic egg model. That was the one we talked about. The universe as an ovoid structure where matter flows in a continuous loop from creation, the white hole, to destruction, the black hole, with time space unfolding along its path. This model underpins the possibility of accessing past and future state because, in a holographic view, all events are encoded with the universal structure. Classical physics concepts helped explain resonance and frequency alignment. For instance, the gateway processes use a brainwave entrainment. That's where you train the brain to work at a specific frequency by
Yeah.
matching audio frequencies like theta waves to influence brain state, mirroring classic theories on how vibrations and frequencies interact and align. The document also uses, yes, the analogy of a laser. It's brought up that everybody's consciousness is kind of like a bright light, very
Mhm.
chaotic, scattering in all directions. Hemisync teaches you to do extreme focus like a laser beam. That's basically what the intent for that part is. Quantum mechanics is introduced to discuss the nature of consciousness and the click out phenomenon. The concept of Planck's distance is invoked, suggesting that energy at certain points of rest can transcend time space, allowing consciousness brief access to other dimensions. The holographic theory of physicians like David Bohm suggests the universe and consciousness operate like a hologram where every part contains information about the whole. This theory underpins the idea that consciousness can access information beyond physical limitation. Holographic universe presents the universe as a giant hologram, whereas every part, again, contains information about the whole. This model is based on the idea that all aspects of the universe are interconnected and energy waves carry vast amounts of data, creating a universal hologram. Human mind is a hologram. This report suggests that the human mind operates similarly as a hologram that can interface with the universal hologram. This interaction allows the mind to perceive information beyond ordinary physical senses, suggesting that consciousness can directly access data from the universal matrix. Interesting use of terms there, but yeah, I can get into that one.
The Matrix, Ben.
Holograms store information in retrieval patterns, meaning that consciousness could theoretically decode these patterns. This mechanism provides a specific explanation for phenomena like intuition, extrasensory perception, and even the potential for time travel within altered states. The part encodes the whole. A core holographic principle discussed reports that even a small part of the hologram contains the whole image, although with less clarity. This concept supports the idea that individual consciousness may access the full scope of universal knowledge, albeit with limitations based on clarity and focus. Okay, so when you start this process, what you are told to do, it's basically listening to that where is it?
The binaural.
While you have that going on, you have somebody guiding you through meditation. A
Okay.
lot, yeah, meditation, actually hypnosis. So you're actually going beyond meditation to hypnosis. But he tells you to start off by constructing a box in your imagination. And where did I go here? Yes, you construct a box in your imagination, visualizing energy conversion blocks to mentally isolate distractions and extraneous thoughts, helping clear the mind. You put any distractions in your imagination, any distractions that you have, any limitations you have in this box, and seal it shut. Then you have resonant training. This involves humming to create vibrations that encourage the brain and body to achieve resonance, enhancing focus and calm.
The
Then
Om. We
you
say
then
Om at the end of yoga class.
hmm?
When you say Om, like at the end of yoga
Kind of,
class or
kind of,
meditation.
and that's what a lot of the Om. What they're doing is they're paying attention to the vibration in their chest. You can start to feel the vibration up here,
Yeah.
and you can feel the vibration here. So what you're doing is you're actually paying attention to give your mind for something to focus on. So you're just feeling that vibration work up, and you're paying attention to that, kind of to keep the squirrels at bay. That way, you don't
Okay.
think about, oh yeah, where did I leave my keys?
The
Oh,
hum.
I need to
Help keep the
pee.
squirrels away.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Ben said that the documents were they originally written in 1983 and then they got declassified in 2003.
yeah.
Right, Ben?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't see that comment.
So they're not that old. Hey, can't think of a better name.
Um, Participants affirm their intention to expand consciousness, enforcing the mental communication in the process, reinforcing. The gateway tapes introduce hemisync, a technique that we already gone to, binaural beats to synchronize the brain's hemispheres. The synchronization is key to reaching altered states, progressive relaxation and visualization. Again, this is what you use the hypnosis for, is to help you relax. Physical relaxation exercises prepare the body for an almost sleep-like state, while visualization techniques like the energy balloon promote a heightened sense of consciousness, protect. Yes, this is kind of concerning. To protect the user against lower energies and potential out-of-body experiences. One of the things you have to do is
That's spooky.
it's kind of like the empaths do this. They'll envision an energy shield around them where other people's feelings bounce off. Yes, that is one of the things that's important, because when you start projecting, you can run into, yes, you guessed it, negative influences, negative entities. And yeah, it starts getting concerning.
That's
Ah,
spooky. This is where it gets spooky.
okay. Now you start getting into, yes, the focus levels. Focus level one's like we are now. You're awake. Focus level three, which is basic hemisync, where both brain and hemispheres are synchronized and you're much more relaxed. Your body can be paralyzed possibly. Your mind's still working, fully operational, but yeah, your body is probably incapacitated at this point. Focus level 10. Mind is awake, body asleep. Again, we've already talked about the fundamental level for deep physical relaxation. Okay, you start getting a little bit there, but then you get to focus level 12. State of expanded awareness, where the participant's consciousness begins to extend beyond the limitation of physical perception. In other words, this technique of patterning recognizes the fact that since the consciousness is the source of all reality, our thoughts have the power to influence the development of reality in space time as it applies to us if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity. So, yes, you have things like patterning in here and things like that. I've known people who've gone through this, and this is a
Really?
lot like or rather, I talk to them. I don't really know them that well. This is like, oh, here we go. This would be like patterning is where you establish your intent. Maybe a better term would be what do they call that? A spirit of abundance. You
Okay.
envision it so it happens. Okay, the guy that I talked to that went through this, there's a lot of people who went through this. And they
Really?
say that what happens is that you establish this is what I want. I want this thing. The things can happen that cause it to not be quite so fortunate for you. That what can happen is the example was brought up. Some of it's not so bad. An example was brought up. A guy was asking for basically he would meet a romantic partner.
Okay.
Okay. She wound up hitting him on his motorcycle. She stayed by him while the ambulance, and they got involved. But yeah, uh,
But he didn't quite meet her the way he would have liked.
yes,
All
yes.
right.
Other people have talked about, I want to make more money. Okay. I want to, I want a job that makes more money. Right? They get a job they're absolutely miserable in. They make more money, they're absolutely miserable in it versus the old job where they were happy. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff where you have to start being really specific. Now, there's actually a guy on YouTube who ran through this, and he talked about that you're doing it in this state where you're telling yourself this. Basically, what you're doing is you're speaking almost directly to your subconscious. He said, okay,
Hmm.
I want a more, athletic body, and I want to advance in my job. Well, the advancement in his job didn't turn out quite like he expected. But basically, what happened almost immediately, like the next day, he had a deep yearning to start exercising. It was almost insatiable. It's like, man, I really want to go to the gym. It's like, no, it's not like I kind of want to go to the gym. It's like, I almost need to go to the gym. He had almost an
Hmm.
insatiable
Like it was a craving.
desire. Yeah. Desire. And yeah, so basically he's basically saying that or he theorizes that you're talking directly to your subconscious and implanting, it's not like, oh, I'm speaking to the universe now. The universe is,
Right.
"Ooh," boom, here's your unicorn. That no, basically, um, that you're talking directly to your subconscious, and your subconscious
Yeah. Your
will pursue these
self-talk
things.
on a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah, and his job, now this is just his theory. Of course, theories are all over the place, and they're kind of like
Sure.
bosses and other things, which I won't go into. Everybody has one. They all smell like, well, yeah. But but yeah, the how did work then go for him? That basically he had to do a bunch of things he didn't want to do.
To
Sorry, it was
advance in
my
his
fan. I
career.
just noticed my fan for the first time. Oh, that's new. But
You're
no,
expanding your consciousness, Ben.
yeah. But that basically, it's kind of one of these things where he gave himself the desire to expand in his job role. So then he pursues it, and his boss tells him, "Well, if you want to get here, if you want to be Mister Big
Yeah.
Time, then you have
I'm
to.
gonna give you more stuff to
Then
do.
I'm going to put you through the ringer first." And so yeah, it can go two ways, you know. But yeah, I just found that to be kind of interesting.
It's like when you make a wish with the genie and it doesn't quite turn out the way you expected.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like having a genie, like on X Files, where Mulder was digging up a fully legal contract with all the wherefores and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yes. Focus level 15, state associated with traveling to the past. Participants reach a heightened level of awareness that allows them to explore aspects of their past or the past in general.
Hmm.
Focus level 21, state for perceiving the future, moving outside space time. This advanced level is typically unattainable with advanced practice. Now, here's where it starts to get concerning. Focus level 22 through 26.
How high do the focus levels go?
46.
Wow. Okay.
Focus level 22, you start having near death experiences, where you have
The
I don't
bright
know if
light and all
you,
that?
the bright light, you see friends and family.
Oh
Okay.
gosh. No thanks. No thanks.
That's not so bad. I mean, because it's a construction kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
25 and on, 25 to 26, or 23 to 26. That sounds a lot more traumatic. You start experiencing other people's near death experiences and start interacting with them. And it's like, that would be heavily traumatic.
Yeah.
I would think that would be, even if you think about it, even if, you can say, maybe this is all BS. Maybe this guy's whacked. I think even imagining that at some level would have some
Yeah.
effect on.
If it feels very real to you, if you're imagining it in great detail, then that could be somewhat traumatic. Depends on how you react to it.
Yes. Um, then that's where it's like this started losing a lot of the shininess for me. Focus level 27, the garden. Garden of people who have passed away or others who you can operate with at this level. You interact with people who are dead.
Mhm.
Focus level 34 to 35, the gathering, where non physical entities, intelligence meet to discuss important events that can affect the earth. This is when you start talking things. Yes.
Aliens?
Yeah. Aliens, other dimensional beings. Focus level 49. I'll let you decide what you think this term means. Meet the architect, connection to the source connection, and unity with all existence. Focus level of eternal understanding, bliss where all worries are fixed, the peak of spiritual evolution, eternal nature of the cosmos.
It sounds like the people that wrote The Matrix, like, pulled inspiration from these
I think
documents.
they did,
Like,
actually.
the architect and everything, which, by the way, the architect in the film The Matrix, I thought he was insufferable. He was like he was annoying. I'm sorry. He was arrogant and not in a nice way.
I only saw one, and then I saw parts of two, and I was like, no, I'm going to go back and
Yeah.
I'm going to ignore all this and accept one. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, one is where
because
it's at.
once they start working in, it's great, but it's like, wait, maybe comma, but no, I don't. I reject your comma, but, and I insert my own. Yes,
I reject your premise.
yes, reject the reality and substitute my own.
Maya was worried. She thought you were going to say that the very next day he had an athletic body because that would have been really spooky.
Yes, and there is a lot of protection you need to
Inconvenient
go
then.
through with this, with the potential of let's see, where was that? The unlikely but potential problem that you could face if somebody or if you skipped out of your reality and yeah, couldn't come back. Yeah, there's like risks.
That's
Not big.
that's
They
creepy.
call it
That's
unlikely,
spooky.
but
Can't think of a better name. Asked how do they say a person gets to these different levels? It's through this protocol, supposedly.
it's literally just a system of tapes or
Like,
audio that you work through and you slowly advance up. But there's also like relaxation techniques and how do they say a person gets to these different levels? That is part of how do I say this? How do I say that quickly without working through everything? You basically undergo the gateway experience whereby you get your body to retune to a different your body and your mind to retune to a different frequency. As you do that, you fall into there's a frequency of the earth, and I can't remember how many cycles that was.
you do this protocol so much and so effectively and repeatedly that you eventually get there.
Yes, and the document
Right.
goes through and it cites several places that there could be that he had to be extra careful to enter this from the scientific standpoint, not a religious standpoint, because
Hmm.
he would have gotten pushback from the Western Christian community and even Tibetan. He does go through and he tries to say this is highly compatible with Christianity, Judaism, um, Hindu sutras. The network of pearls analogy from Hindu philosophy is cited to illustrate holographic nature of the universe. Christianity, the concept of the Trinity is compared with the energy and consciousness, explaining how different states of energy relate to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. In Christian theology, Tibetan Buddhism, it cites a work where it describes the tangible world as movement and discusses the universe as composed of rapid energy flashes, aligning this idea with modern energy and consciousness theories. But yeah, they try really, and there's tons of stuff in this.
Yeah, I could
And
see where you could upset a few religions with something like this.
yeah,
Because you're
um,
talking about the nature of the universe and like what
yeah,
reality is.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the architect is where basically it'd be God,
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
talk to God and yeah,
Maya, you're not stupid just because you don't like watching The Matrix. Not everyone loves them.
yeah.
That doesn't make you stupid.
Yes, but yeah, you're basically talking at this point. It'd be astral projection on steroids. I mean, astral projection is the idea of leaving your body, maybe going some other place.
Hmm.
But the second you start talking out of this reality, out of this time, I
Right.
don't think that's astral projection at that point.
That's something different.
But
So, sorry, go on.
hmm, you go ahead.
What like so there's a protocol that you follow and it's supposed to help basically like what everything that you've gone through like kind of it sounds like it comes back to like harnessing the power of your own brain and your
Hmm.
own consciousness. It's supposed to be like helping you access another part of your subconscious that maybe you are not normally aware of or you don't normally access. So
Hmm.
it sounds like that's at the heart of it. It's harnessing the power of your own brain to get past blocks or get past things that normally would keep you from
Hmm.
doing certain things maybe that you want to do or seeing things that you'd like to see. But it sounds like if you go too far with it, you go crazy,
Yeah.
basically, because you're questioning your reality and the nature of things. And I mean, on a certain level, questioning your reality is can be helpful because it helps you think outside the box and do things that you might normally not be able to do. But then you go too far with it and you have schizophrenia and you're not in the same reality as anyone else.
Yeah. Now I'm still hung up on focus level 20, 23 to 26, 22 to 26, where you're seeing people's near death experiences. But yeah, you're talking about,
This is super
I mean, you talk
theoretical.
about the potential for disassociation and all sorts of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Teaching military personnel to do this as an intelligence gathering technique.
I don't know how you would then apply it as an intelligence gathering technique. Like, I think you
Well,
have to
well,
stop at the remote viewing astral projection thing, you
yeah,
know?
and I think what the I think the goal there would be to meet the entities that discuss the Earth, potential things that are affecting the Earth,
Yeah.
and that possibly, or just a physical relocating yourself in space and time. No, I don't know if even the time travel part would be that useful, but
Well, yeah, in every fictionalized, idea about time travel, it starts out all well and good and then everything goes wrong because we little tiny human people don't think about all of the possible implications of changing things. I mean, that's what Back to the Future is all about, right?
yes. But if you want to dig into this method, it's something that you can do. The Monroe Institute still exists.
The
They
Monroe Institute.
still, yeah, they do a lot of work. They don't just do the gateway method. You can find a copy of a few of their teachings, their introduction level. You can find a copy of it on YouTube. Just sit
Monroe.
back and
Oh, it's the first thing that popped up. For the study of human consciousness. All right. Well, if I disappeared, you never hear from me again. It's because I expanded my consciousness and I rule the world now.
now, and honestly, if you were to say the military was doing stuff like this in the 80s, you would be called a conspiracy kook.
Yeah, totally. But then they
But
declassified these documents and they absolutely were.
yeah, absolutely their own letterhead, everything. Yeah.
Like whatever you think about the actual method, like whether you think it's nonsense or whether you think it's, there's something to it and it could be effective, the United States Army was teaching people how to do this to try to gather intelligence.
Hmm.
That's wild to me. Like no, whether you believe it's possible or not, that's wild
Yeah.
to me. Because this is so like out of what we would normally think of like military programs, at least out of what I would normally think of.
And apparently, well, they claim they can teach anybody to do this, but apparently to reach the higher levels, yeah,
My
like
dog?
apparently you do have to have some predisposition or a hell of a lot of discipline
Oh, okay.
uh, to reach the higher levels. There's a guy on YouTube even who went through this. He was at focus level 15, I think, and I could see
How did
I
they
could.
know? Like, it's just by his own self-report, or like they could
Well,
verify?
I think what they do is I think they have specific meditations, hypnosis, whatever you want to call it, tapes, whatever, for each level. You know, it's basically
Okay.
teachings, and then once you get through it, then you can go back and put yourself in that state. One of the things this document states is that I think it was a Tibetan monk who's practiced for 20 years could put themselves in hemisync just intuitively. They can synchronize both sides of their brain. Was what at least what the army, what the military intelligence
Okay.
said that they had the some of them had the ability just to put themselves get their brains both sides of their brains synchronized just by home.
Just by I like what Maya said. Maya says animals are already there. I love that because they don't have all the nonsense in the way that we do. My dog already has absolute mastery over his consciousness. He's asleep right now, though. He doesn't look particularly masterful at the moment.
How's the how? So you look mirrored today, or you look like you're facing a different direction. I guess
Oh, I
you.
am mirrored. I think I have the
Okay.
mirrored my displays on. I
Okay, I can't
I
read
have to
the. Yeah.
admit, I'm not sure exactly what it means. It's like so mirror camera. I have it turned on. I know that that makes it look like when I reach like there's my window. Like it's like it matches me. But then I do the other way and it feels opposite. So
Yeah, it
it,
does, but you can read text and things like that if you hold it up. But yeah,
oh,
that is the problem. You go to, I'm reaching off this side of the screen and your hand is, it's like,
so I
yeah,
don't
you
have
always have to
something.
remember.
I don't have something with text. I have books. Hold on. Does it look like it's backwards? Yeah, it looks like it's backwards when we unmirror it. Now you can read it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
But the only problem that, yeah, if you hold up text, which is less likely, more often it's usually text on shirts, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay. My
Yeah.
my shirt text is confusing.
Yeah.
Now my
Patriot.
shirt text makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you start talking about reality not existing. You know, and the thing is, that's not a new, you know, the part about atoms, not that all matter is basically when you go down the subatomic far enough
Hmm.
that nobody really knows what's happening and physics breaks down. I mean,
Right.
that's actually accepted theory, but
Once it gets so
um,
small.
yeah, but yeah, when you're basically saying reality isn't real,
Well, I'm a fan of the idea that reality is somewhat
yeah,
subjective,
well,
right?
yeah, and
It all
yeah, it would,
depends on how I perceive stuff, what my
yeah.
reality is.
Yeah,
Now,
now that I think there is a bit of level because we don't know what anybody else really sees because you're not in
no,
their
right?
head.
We
You're
have to
really
just
not
like
in their head.
take it on
Yeah,
faith.
and yeah, the thing is that I think there's a lot of I think there is some value in that because I think it shows how little we really know
Hmm.
in some
Yeah.
ways. I mean, this is basic exist. I mean, we're not talking. This is falling down to basic existence. You can't
Yeah.
get any more basic than that, and we really don't know that much about it, really.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, you know, it's we all have to earn a living, so it's like you're contemplating these deep thoughts, but you still have to pay the bills. You still
Right.
have to put gas in the car. You still get toothaches. You still,
Yeah. It's annoying to be contemplating like bigger, like objective reality questions. Does reality exist? But then also have to, I don't know, unclog the toilet.
the idea. There's several ideas in this which are very romantic. The idea of the unity, which I think video game manufacturers may have actually gotten a hold of that for
Oh,
Starfield.
really?
I think there's a couple you know, maybe not the developers themselves. Maybe somebody got this document and oh, this would be a great idea for, and they pitch it to some company, a video game company, like, okay, we kind of like that, but we'll steal this idea and we'll chew
Hmm.
on it, and I don't think it's a direct causation. I don't necessarily think that
I'll put
anybody,
string theory in this video game.
but yeah, but
Hi,
but yeah,
Mr. McBastic.
the the Matrix, yeah, there's quite a few parts in this. I mean, I I barely broke the surface of it. I mean, there's other shows they've talked about other parts of this. I mean, because it gets into weeds. It starts talking about um, different religious practices.
Mm.
Some religions that carry wands and this and that. I was like, holy hell, what are you talking? What are you throwing this at me? I'm still dealing with the reality's not real part back there. And
I'm still in beginner reality.
yeah, and you're throwing this at me like, what the
I'm
hell,
not
man?
ready for super advanced reality yet.
Yeah, but
I like this question. The world exists, but do you exist after you are gone? I have a take on that. Do you want to hear my take on that?
what is your take on that?
The world exists, but do you exist after you're gone? You do, but not in the same form that you do now.
Hmm.
And that's based on the law of thermodynamics. The energy can't be created or destroyed, it just changes form. So like after like I'm gone, after like my body dies and all that stuff, like I won't be here like this anymore, but the stuff that made me will still exist. It'll just be arranged differently somewhere in the universe or the world or whatever. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll still exist, just not like this, you know?
but yeah, it does. I mean, maybe, and you can still completely poo poo this and say, oh, they're jacked up. Who knows? None of this stuff's existed. Just talking quantum quantum mechanics, and they start talking theoretical physics and things like that. Well, who's to say that that theoretical physics is definitely a hard fast thing? I mean, you have people with a
Yeah.
lot of letters after their names. These aren't dumb people, but
But it is still
you know,
theoretical physics.
but yeah, I mean, but still, even if you do that, it does kind of get you thinking about what is real. Why do I believe what I believe?
Mhm.
Where does religion fit in? Where what do you call that? Not esoteric, theologic.
Yeah.
Where do theologic discussions enter in? What's the nature of God? What is the architect of our existence? Where did the universe come from? But there's a fascinating, and one of the shows broke down on this. There is something that's completely fascinating. They took an electron emitter and they fired it. It'd be like having a sheet. Well, that's a bad example. Big sheet of metal, thin slit cut in there. You fired an electron emitter.
Hmm.
Okay, on the wall behind it, you would have what you would think dot patterns in a
Yeah.
line. Okay, they did it with two slits. Okay, they did two slits. You should have two patterns. Where basically the gun's going boom, 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 boom. Doing this, it's hitting the shield that has two slits cut in it. What they noticed, what was happening was as the electrons were going through the slits to the back target,
Hmm.
as they left the back slits, they were turning into a wave. But when they turned a camera on them, they turned back into electrons, and they did
Huh.
exactly the second they turned the camera off, back to a waveform. And they've done
What?
this experience tons and tons of
Something about the
times.
camera and the
The second
way
you
the
observe it,
electrons behave.
the second you observe it, electrons will boop, 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 act like they're supposed to. The second they've even talked about doing things like accidentally, like kind of half, oh,
Like
I
I'm
unplugged
not
the
looking.
camera. I unplugged the camera and go back to a waveform. But the second, okay, nobody's looking. I plug the camera back in to go back to dots.
Those
But I
tricksy
mean, that is
electrons.
something. Yeah, you're talking electrons at that point,
Oh wow. That's
and
wild.
yeah, it just by nature of being observed, they change their, and that's something which is like, that is,
Observing something changes a thing. I think that happens at
Well,
every level, like even at the most like basic levels, like they talk about that in like different psych classes that, like if you're trying to do animal studies or something like that, if you show up and the animals know you're watching them, they
that's
might be
easy
acting a
enough.
little bit different. Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
like on
easy
a
enough because they're
basic
sentient,
level.
or they're alive, they're living creatures. They
Yeah.
observe us, observing them. But like this bottle, I turn around, I turn my back on it. It's still there. It's still got liquid in it.
Hmm.
But electrons? Talk about non sentient beings.
You don't know they're
Electrons.
non-sentient. Have you ever talked to them before?
Well,
I carry
but
on.
yeah, that you know what the hell is that about? And
I
you
mean, if
start.
it's something that moves, there's something to that. Like there's some kind of like I guess it depends on how you define life, but there's some kind of something like life to that. So they behave, they do a thing. If you can observe it, it's a behavior,
Well,
right?
that's one of the things. I think it was this document even points out that you can have, what was it, two particles that are linked.
Hmm.
One of them changes, it's separated by light years. The other one will change instantly before light can travel that distance.
Oh
How?
wow.
And things like that. It's just like this is how. And some of the theories out there is like, well, the electrons are going back in time. You know, what do you do with that? I mean, basically, we don't know how electrons work, and
The more we
you know,
learn, the less we know, kind of a
it
thing.
down to a fundamental level.
Yeah.
It's like we don't know what reality is. I mean, well, what is reality?
It's
Is
the
reality what
delusion
happens?
that we all agree on together.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm
basically.
not sure why we all got together and agreed that we would have credit card debt as part of reality, but nobody asked me.
And and that and that is an interesting point. I mean, you can get caught in the idea of the unity. You can get caught in the idea of meeting the architect. You can get caught in the idea of what is this? But you still got to wake up. You still got to pay
You
the
still gotta
bills.
do stuff.
Yeah, and it's like you talk about ideas and tension. I mean, you have this really deep meaning stuff, and
Yeah.
over here you have the mundane, which we still have to do. You still got to eat. You don't eat, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Ross
You
Perot
do
said that.
get to pick how you eat, though. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do that.
There are parts of this which do sound attractive. Talking directly to your subconscious, like the
Yeah,
guy
that
on
part sounds
YouTube.
really cool to me.
Yeah, because you're able to influence yourself, be able to program yourself to say,
Yeah.
I don't like, you know what? I'm going to eat healthy. Give yourself the
Yeah. Help yourself be
fundamental
motivated.
yearning. Yeah.
Right. To follow through with it.
Yeah.
I deal with like I work with people all the time now who it's like we get to a point where they know what they need to do to get to what they want.
Mhm.
Like they know logically what they need to do, but the barrier is doing it. It's like
Oh, yeah.
actually like making a behavior change. Like
Oh, yeah.
just knowing what you need to do isn't enough. And
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
where the
you have
secret
drug,
sauce is.
yeah, you have drug addicts. You have people who aren't on drugs that do replacement behaviors like myself because they're trying to
Mhm.
stay away from it. But yeah, drug addicts don't want to be drug addicts. So yeah, but it sounds like it takes a lot of discipline to reach there. And I know you can have some limited success with hypnosis, with
Mhm.
um, we talked about earlier, subliminal, very limited success with subliminal.
Mhm.
But yeah, if this actually does that, you know, it still sounds like it would take a lot of training though to reach even that level where you can
Yeah.
talk to your
Do
own
it properly.
subconscious. But yeah, I mean that alone sounds interesting. If there's a
Yeah, if I
way
could
to,
like talk to my subconscious some way when I go to sleep so that the next day I would be motivated to get up at 5 a.m. every morning and like go running or something, which is my most extreme example because I'm not a runner. If you see me running, it's because something's chasing me. So you better run too. Um,
I do miss running. I can't. Every time I've tried it lately, plantar fasciitis.
yeah,
Um,
it gets in the way. I
yeah,
walk. I'll walk all day long.
I
I'll
can't even
sprint.
with my
I
back
gotta
issues.
sprint. I'll sprint.
Yeah, and I can't even really walk. Well, I could. I'd probably need to go see a chiropractor, and maybe that would help. Get my hip popped back in, which we can't even agree on that. There's a lot of doctors out there that say chiropractic doesn't exist. Like I know it
Well,
does. They say, oh,
there are definitely
it's
chiropractors out there charging money. So
yeah,
there's that.
it's junk science. Well, wait a minute. They've taken X-rays. They prove that your
Yeah.
spine can go out of the line. Well, oh, they're doing such and such, such and such. It
I think
doesn't
it's like
exist.
anything. I think you have some chiropractors that are great and some
Yeah,
that are kind of not. And like you have some chiropractors that are focused to like, I want to help you get to a point where you don't need to keep coming back to see me. And other chiropractors who that's not their priority. And the same could be said of lots of professions.
yeah. Um, energy balloons, the precaution to ensure that participants in out of body experiences interact with other dimensions. Yes, they could potentially remain protected from energies from entities that might interfere with their experience or yeah. We already talked about that. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I hit that. But that part, other entities,
That's spooky. That's spooky, otherworldly ghosts, something like that. That's spooky. Mr. McBastic, maybe the energies fragment more and create more energies to learn more lessons. Ooh, I kind of like that.
yeah, this I
Things
didn't.
get more and more complex.
I never expected anything so existential from
Yeah.
CIA, and it's like you're
Well, it doesn't
training.
start there, but that's where you end up.
Yeah, and yeah, not just the CIA. I mean, the CIA kind of understand that being kind of a spooky organization. We're going to throw resources, kind of take a lump of poo, throw it at the wall, see what sticks. So yeah, you can understand that, but the U.S. military throwing military intelligence personnel at this, it's like
Yeah.
that's getting pretty specific.
Yeah.
Um,
This is very specific.
and it's like, what did they find out? Are they still doing it? Nobody knows.
That's a good question. I guess we'll find out when they declassify that in another, what, 20 years?
Oh my god, I don't want to think about that. Oh, the shape I'd be in.
You don't want to think about 20 years. I don't
But
know.
it, it
I
is it is an interesting exercise because when you start thinking about some of the stuff like near death experiences, okay, you're talking
yeah.
the nature of your own existence, and then of course you're going back to the fundamental question: is what happens? And I don't know if that is even a natural consequence of it, or maybe I'm just being too introspective. What
Mhm.
happens after we die? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I never expected reality does not exist. I didn't expect hearing that from the mother effing
See,
CIA.
a
It's
declassified CIA document.
yeah.
So you weren't expecting this when you opened this up. Like you were expecting like what? Some
I heard
maybe
a
kind
little
of
bit about it. I thought it
yeah.
was astral projection. I mean, I heard a little bit about it
Yeah.
on Wi-Fi and stuff like
Like,
that.
oh, we're trying to go see what the enemy is up
Yeah.
to, that kind of stuff.
Um, Project Stargate, very logical.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say logical. Still existential, but not nowhere near this level. I mean, that had a lot of. You could see, okay, again, taking a big lump of steamy dog poop, maybe with corn for texture this time, throwing it against the wall. It's like, okay, maybe, yeah, that worked or that didn't work. Okay, well, we know not to do that again. Um, this is the same government that runs the IRS. So, I mean, you're talking about
I
efficiency.
know.
Um, but I can
Somebody
understand that because that's much more basic, but yeah, you start talking about reality, you start talking about meeting God, you're
Yeah.
talking about the
You don't usually
CIA.
expect the CIA US Army documents to go there. But it also kind of makes me it kind of floors me to think like somebody somewhere was being paid a salary by the US government to put this together and to do this stuff. And on the one hand, that kind of sounds like the most fun job ever. Like,
Well, in this case, it was Light Colonel McDowell, but yeah, I
yeah,
mean, but still, you have probably have some pencil pushing cog somewhere that bare minimum, there's got to be somebody at least, I
it's
don't
just
know,
like typing up the memos or something.
or maybe they moved on.
Cutting
Maybe
the
there's like a
paycheck.
division in CIA where they actually practice this is no longer at Monroe, or maybe they job out people and they go to the Monroe Institute, which still exists and
Maybe.
still sells this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, they
They
have a website.
they do a lot of work. Like I said, one of my friends at NCI, um, Chase Hughes's place,
Yeah.
he or she, yeah, she got tapes on ADHD. She got tapes on not CDs, ADHD.
Yeah.
Can't remember what else, like OCD, I think. And she said that yeah, that I mean, she never really tested herself with it as far as oh yeah, I just listen to it just to give me something to I do this. It might help, it might not. Kind of like when I started playing around with all sorts of different things, just trying to see what works. But
I'm not sure. So I'm just kind of perusing the Monroe Institute's website, like just briefly on my phone. It looks cool, but then on the other hand, it looks like it could go cult really easily.
oh yeah,
Like like it's got the world's leading education center for the study of human consciousness, explore the non-physical, gain a greater self-awareness. There's residential retreats, probably that you pay a lot of money for.
yeah, yeah.
Stories.
The
Uh,
whole term
go cult
source,
real easily.
yeah, the whole term source that really bugged me because of Scientology.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean
Yeah, if
but
you
yeah,
wanna go to the Gateway Voyage virtual retreat for 5.5 days, that'll set you back $1,065. Oh, actually, I don't know. Yeah, all of these 5.5 there's different runs. All the 5.5 day retreats cost $1,065. Oh, there's a budget one for 2.5 days for $775.
ouch.
So, consciousness has a price tag, I guess.
Yeah, but the CD apparently the CDs at least are. Do they have any? I mean, I didn't even try. I mean, I went to their website to grab pictures.
I just clicked there's a store. Probably the store has CDs, new releases. Oh, you can get a hoodie for $62. Okay, here we go. Beautiful Chaos, a meditative experience that blends serene, simple melodic fragments. So this is like a CD. This is 1995. That's like
Hmm.
20 bucks. So there's a bunch of CDs on here for like 1995 by location. Oh, this one's only nine. This is a download for only 9.99 for only 10 bucks.
By
So
location,
by location is what it's called.
I being
There are
two
many.
locations.
What is that one?
By
By keyboard.
location sounds like astral projection.
Yeah, it says.
But that sounds like I don't know. We would
Oh,
call
there's
it
even a little
vanilla.
like. There are many ways to leave your physical body. One of the biggest problems is that we often encounter stories and descriptions that tell us that the out of body experience is absolute. Uh, it's like basically like helping you realize it's possible, is what it looks like.
Hmm.
But that one's only 9.99. So the retreats are pricey, but the downloads and the CDs are much more affordable. You could be much more conscious for a budget still.
Can you get a CIA discount? I want CIA's flag. Damn, I want somebody who works in the CIA. I don't know a single person.
Oh,
Well,
there's groups. There's
no.
community groups, previously called local chapters run by volunteers. I don't know, man. It's feeling culty.
Come on, y'all just
There's a
want.
leadership council. I kind of want to go to one, but I don't have that much money to put in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It would be fun to explore, though.
Ordinarily, I would have just. Well, and I think that's probably why this one resonated with me so much. This is on
Mhm.
the heels of play. I'll admit, I was just playing around with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
remote viewing thing, and it's like never in a million years, ever would I expected any freaking part of it to work. I thought it'd just be some yahoo. Oh yeah, you do this. You know, the guy's smoking cigarettes. Okay, I pull my finger. Okay, now you do this. You son of a bitch. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, but oh my god. Yeah, I mean, does it work for everybody? I don't know. I
Probably
haven't.
not.
I have not spoken to another single person who's gone through it. I
If you
can't
hate
find anybody.
meditation, then it's probably not going to be very effective for you. Maya made a good point. The price tags does not give her Scientology vibes. They would have charged way more. That's a good point. Like $1,065 for a 5.5 day thing.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
that's actually not crazy. Like I've seen like continuing ed conferences for counselors that cost around that much. So it's not that crazy.
yeah. Once you start sending, yeah, and it's the same way with GIS conferences, but at the same time, we don't work for companies that send people to stuff like that. I mean, this sounds more
No.
like it would be. I want to do this in my own time, and blah blah blah. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
it's full of, but what kind of company would send a buttload of people there? I mean, like,
to one of these.
what do we, like National Right of Way Association? What do you guys do? Well, we talk about right of ways. Well, that's wow.
There's a group location in Dallas that meets online.
Being these guys work with the CIA, though, they might have access to automatic weapons. So, but at the same time, you are Chris and Melinda.
Everybody around here has access to automatic weapons. No, no, I'm kidding.
That's right. It is Texas. So
I'm in
yeah,
Texas, Ben.
interlocking fields of fire, Constantine wire. Everybody's got a bunker. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know
But
that I don't know what the groups would be for though. It just says they're community groups and they're like in different regions. Like that was Southwest. It's interesting. But like all of the Southwest ones are in Texas. So that's interesting.
yeah, and that's one of the things we were talking about, Rick. I don't know if you were here or not. Um, maybe you were. No, you weren't. Yeah. You can take classes in that. Udemy. Wait a minute. Yes, Udemy. I think that's the name of it. The website. There's all sorts of classes on there. You can seriously take, and that's what I did. Just for grins and giggles, farts and snorts.
Yeah.
Kind of like I was talking about with Chris and Melinda taking poo and throwing it against the wall, just because. What do you call that? Is that Pika? No, what when somebody takes fecal matter and they throw it at things?
No, that does have a term. It escapes me for the moment.
Yeah,
Uh
that's that. I never found that personally attractive, but I would be willing to try. Is there good pay in it? You know,
You
you know.
know, like we just went through kind of a phase similar to that not too long ago, potty training my child. So if you're willing to like be paid money to potty train a child, then it's kind of the same thing.
Not so different than GIS, I suppose. So I mean, some of the people, okay,
Some people
I
actually do like hire people just to potty train their children.
well,
I I don't
and
have that kind of
I deal with federal employees all the time, and that's kind
similar.
of yeah. Um, yeah, Bureau of Land Management. I mean, come on.
Okay, what does
Oh,
the Bureau of Land Management do? What does that mean?
okay. It would be a lot like Arizona Department of Transportation. You see them by the side of the road. You have five people. Four of them are saying, "Oh, yeah." One guy who's digging a ditch who's probably a young guy. That is BLM,
Okay.
where yeah, they manage not that much land.
Okay.
It could by Arizona state land. We have state land
Mhm.
by far dwarfs BLM. But yeah, BLM has like a bazillion times the staff. Um,
Interesting.
I don't know exactly what they do. I mean, I know what they're paying to
Hmm.
deal with, and they say, "Yeah, you can't do this. You can't do this in our land. Our lands are set aside for the people to use, but you people
But
can't
nobody can
use
use
it."
it.
Yeah. Like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
I get it. Um,
so it
but
sounds like
yeah,
a grand tradition of government agencies that just make it
yeah,
hard to do things.
and I think they'd have a very different meaning for the term astral projection. I think it would focus on the ass part. Um, so I'm sounding very cynical, I suppose.
Just a little, mildly,
Okay,
Ben.
but yeah, this is how I approached remote viewing. I'll be honest. Yeah.
Very skeptical, very cynical. This is
Well,
nonsense.
yeah, and I mean, there's still a chance. I ran through 3 or 4 exercises because the thing was I wanted to train for the tests because I'm up to the point
Hmm.
where now there's just a series of tests. Well, the first test I blew completely. Um, the guy for a description he gave the file name of a photograph. Okay, I envisioned water. I envisioned a mountain. Okay, well, how much of the earth is covered by water? Mountains. I mean, you think of a horizon. Most of us who live in the mountains, I'm in the Rockies. We always think of mountains.
Mm.
Kansas, abomination. There, no, there. Reality doesn't exist. Kansas does not exist. I refuse to accept that. Kansas
You
does not
refuse to
exist.
accept
It's
Kansas.
it's your imagination you're trying to project upon me, but I reject it.
Ben,
Any
I've been
place
to
where you can't see
Kansas. I
mountains,
promise.
any place you can't see mountains does not exist. But I mean,
I can't
so
see mountains where I live, Ben. You look you
why
look
why why
horrified.
why do you say these things when I
I'm
must
sorry,
mock you
Ben.
for them?
It's okay. It's okay, Ben. El Paso has mountains. It's like 8 hours away from me, but El Paso
Oh
has
my
mountains.
god! Like, oh yeah, you can
I've hurt Ben.
like only
I'm
have to
sorry.
drive like 8 hours to breathe
Only
oxygen,
8.
or it's okay.
We're like
Well,
North Texas is like the plains,
be that,
basically.
but yeah, my point is okay. So I'm playing odds there. I'm not playing odds, but
Okay. Yeah.
you think okay. I think mountains. I'm going to think mountains everywhere.
You go into
Okay,
remote
water.
viewing
You
thinking
could
it's more about like what's likely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got that part of it, but the part I got wrong in the photograph, something really odd,
Hmm.
and it was actually a really good test because it was something so out of the norm. It was an elephant in water with
It's
a
very
guy
specific.
standing on its tusks with his chest
Huh.
out of water. It
That's
was
very
it was one
specific.
it was one of these cameras where it's halfway below, halfway above, and yeah, and I
Sorry, Maya.
poor
Says
Ben, he will, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know whether that means I'm the worst therapist or
You
the
you
best
you
therapist.
talk about existential crisis, living in a place where you can't see mountains.
I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry. I have been to places with mountains, if it makes you feel better. I have traveled to the White Mountains in New Hampshire, which are very pretty.
Oh, I've been to mountains. I accept mountains exist.
I
That should
accept
make you
mountains
feel.
exist.
Oh,
I accept the existence of mountains.
but
Ooh,
no, and I blew.
wait.
I completely sucked on that. So I was like all butthurt, like, and I still think this doesn't exist, but it's like I just
But you
envisioned
still want to be
everybody.
good at it.
Well, yeah, it's like this may be complete and utter horseshit, but I want to be good horseshit.
I want to be good at the
Yeah,
horseshit, even if it's horseshit.
and the thing is although it's an online thing, it's all pre-recorded. You have access to the instructor. I mean, you can send him.
Okay.
He replies to stuff that you send him. So if you call him names, he'll probably call you names back. But it's
Quality
all
instruction.
pre-recorded. But I still envisioned like when when you're in math class, this is going to be oddly specific, I imagine. You wake up in math class and you have addition in your head, and you look at the boards, and they all have like they're drawing like parabolas and things like that. And the instructor calls you to the board. Okay, you come up here and like
That is my nightmare, Ben.
that is what I had with this. It's like, why did I fail so bad at this? And the instructor said, no, you don't understand. Everybody fails at this. He even played the scene from, I shit you not, The Matrix, where Neo, splat. And then the guy says, oh, everybody fails the first time. He even played that. He says, okay, this is just, you have to get through the process and accept this. But it's like, no, I'm going to work on this before the next test. So fine. I got together with Christy, and Christy gave me a couple I didn't like because she gave me enough information to look them up. It's like, no, I don't want to know that.
Right.
Send me something that means something to
Muddy the
you that I
data.
wouldn't, yeah, don't. I mean, actually, I would have preferred XY coordinates, but even that would be easy enough in Google. Or I
Yeah.
make maps for a living. You give me XYs, in almost any coordinate system, I'll be able to find them.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so, but she finally gave me something where it was a name of a boat club. And it's like,
Huh.
how in the hell am I gonna?
That's
So it's
random.
like, so yeah. So that one was pretty good, and that was one where I got. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I got, and you're not going to be 100. Well, I don't think you're ever going to be 100%, but I probably got. And she says, "Oh, well, you got it all." No, no, I'm still looking at all the stuff I got wrong. I probably got 40% right, but to me, that is in itself that is a completely outside the realm of possibility. It's like, no, it
Hmm.
should be 1%
It's
or
unusual that you even got 40% of it
yeah.
right.
There was another. She gave me a couple of houses that I got probably 30,
Yeah.
40, maybe that, but and she kept saying, "Oh no, Ben, you're getting it right." It's like, no, you're feeding me positive encouragement at this point. But and honestly, those that she still no, that's how I view it. And she said, "No, no, no, I'm not putting sunshine up your butt. You're doing great." And like, but that's how I'm going to view it in my perception. Like, no, no, you don't understand. I got that wrong. I got this wrong. I got that wrong. I'm seeing this. I still saw that, and all this other stuff. But
We can try it. I'll be mean. I'll tell you if you're wrong on about everything.
but yeah, the thing is though it causes an extreme headache,
Oh, okay.
bloody
That's not fun.
noses, that kind of thing.
What?
Um,
That's
at least
crazy.
with me, but who knows?
That's
Um,
wild.
but
That like
I
that
don't know. I don't know
indicates
if you're supposed
some
to. I'm not going to ask the dude.
that indicates some physical reaction to whatever it is you're doing. So that's interesting. Because I would go into that super skeptical as well,
Yeah.
but that's interesting.
Well, yeah. And I expected 1%,
Yeah.
two.
40% is that's interesting.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, I think Maya earlier asked like what exactly remote viewing is. It's like where you can go like look in the neighbor's house and watch what they're doing. Kinda, right?
well, if I understand it right, I've never tried looking at. I've never seen. I've only done it. What Stasha's, Christie's. I think I've only done it 4 times,
Yeah. You're only
and
attempting.
I've never seen a living being. But the guy insists that you don't see living beings; you see balls. I don't
Huh.
know.
Huh.
I don't know that you see balls, and then that you have to listen to them or do something with them, and you'll figure out they're people, and you'll get like emotions from them, things like that. That's what he
Huh.
says.
That's interesting.
But yeah. But anyhow, it is still fun. Um, even if you go in there and like I'm gonna poo poo this, and, yo, dude, you are effed. Why not? It's like, okay, it's kind of
Who's the guy that teaches the remote viewing? Like, is it like a course you can enroll in or something?
yeah, that was there might be multiple places that teach it. The guy who I took it from was Udemy, and it was
Oh, okay.
the it
Udemy has
was
a bunch of
project
stuff.
It was Project Stargate.
Okay.
And it was basically created off of the declassified document from the CIA.
Hmm. Oh, okay. So it was
And
based on this. Okay.
yeah, or yeah, it wasn't this. This is these these two have very similar names, but yeah, they're completely different. This is Gateway. That was Project Stargate. Before that, it was the military had it, and they had a bunch of dumb, stupid names. Project Have, Project something or another. You can tell when the CIA takes over something because
Everything's a project.
they call it Project
It's got to be a
Stargate or
project. It's
Project,
got something fancy. Yeah.
yeah, Gateway or this or that. That Army calls them, yeah, Project Blue Have, Project, you know, I don't know, Swimming Dwarf and stupid things
Project
like that.
Swimming Dwarf. This is a
But
whole
yeah,
other topic.
the CIA has kick ass names. That's how
They
you
have
can
good
tell.
names. Whoever's in charge of naming their stuff is
Yeah,
hitting it out of the park.
yeah. But that's honestly part of, well, and how useful is that? I don't know. But
I
you
think
can honestly kind of tell who's running a project by the name alone.
that's probably the Project Stargate CIA.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah. But
this is, I guess, kind of tangential, but like you mentioned Udemy, and I think it's interesting. There's all these like different like education type platforms that
yeah,
have
oh
popped
yeah,
up,
yeah,
like Udemy and Skillshare and Coursera and all this stuff. And
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's interesting. Like there's everything on here from IT certifications to
yeah.
like all kinds of stuff.
It's not a crackpot platform or by any
Uh-uh.
stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I
to
mean
use Chat
you can learn.
GPT.
Yeah, you can learn C plus plus and
Yeah. And there's stuff on graphic design in here,
yeah,
which that's always interesting to me because my brother went to school. He got a degree for graphic design. It's probably a lot more expensive. I'm guessing. I haven't looked at the prices on Udemy, but I'm guessing it was a lot more expensive. I wonder there's certain things you could get the same knowledge and do the same work, or if people really care about the degree. Some
the
turns out to be a project horseshit. Maya.
yeah. Oh, what happened to my? Where is it? Oh, come
Oh, I
on.
could learn how to use Canva on here.
Can't they have? Oh, no kidding. How expensive is it?
They have 541 courses about Canva, about different things you could do on Canva. The Canva masterclass for social media and content creation is $54.99. This is just
Hmm.
like just randomly pulling stuff up. There's like Canva for beginners. That one's $39.99. I'm sorry, I turned this into like an advertisement for Canva and the Monroe Institute. Not Canva, Udemy. Udemy's a lot more affordable, I think, unless you're
Mhm.
just getting the CDs from the Monroe Institute.
Yeah. Well, you're probably on somebody's hit list, but yeah, not hit list, no fly list or something like that. But yeah,
Probably.
rest assured,
Aren't we all?
if the military is naming a project, it's going to sound like, yeah.
How did you set that up, Ben?
Oh, I had a bunch of credits on Steam, and there's a little thing called SoundPad, and
I
I
thought
don't know.
Steam was just for video games. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how many utilities they actually have on Steam. There's probably less than 20 of them, but this was one of them. And what it does is if you have a mic set up, I don't know how, I just accept it, just channel the unicorn. And I use the
Accept
unicorn a
it.
lot. But
Accept that
yeah,
Canvas exists.
it allows you to play audio over Steam or not Steam, Zoom or
Like wherever you're streaming.
Restream or StreamYard or anything like that. Because ordinarily you have to play it. I got to set this up. And I got to hit the magic button that says share. If you forget the magic button, and you come off looking like a complete and utter
Yeah,
moron.
that allowed you to do that really quickly without
Yeah,
having to do anything else, like
and
radio DJ style.
yeah, and you can stop and yeah, and Oh, dang it, I only caught myself. But you can record sounds on the computer and you can play them back at any point. But yeah, it was like eight, $9 maybe.
Oh, that's
Um,
reasonable.
and I had
That's
a
my
bunch of I
favorite.
had a bunch of credits sitting up there, so it's like, why not? Yeah, I actually only got it for what sound? No, not that one. Oh, come on. Um,
Duck. What other sounds do you have?
well, I got it for that for
A
games.
buzzer? You want
Yeah,
to do
because
game night?
I wanted to do a game night at some point, and it was like,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, but yeah, you can just throw any sound file up there. You can just grab it and any wave or MP3,
Oh, so
and
it
you can
doesn't
play
have
it.
to be one in like their library
No, no, you
file
can
you have?
like that's how I made the where is it? That that's actually from YouTube. I just recorded it on it. Let's see here. You can play full blown songs on it if you wanted to.
Oh, so like if I wanted to like do like the instrumental like of a song like to do
Yeah,
karaoke with, I could do that instead
yeah,
of just like having like my phone over here like super like
yeah,
low rent.
yeah. You can do that. The only thing I don't like about it is I don't know, and I don't know if you even can. I don't know how you control the volume of, you can control your headphone volume, but I think it takes the
Mhm.
volume of whatever the mic is set at and it
Oh,
just
okay.
blasts it out. So there's like
Okay.
one that's very loud, you know, and there's no way to adjust it. So,
It wasn't
um,
crazy loud. It was loud, but it wasn't like maybe it's just because I just have one earbud in because the other one's charging.
but,
There's sound effects, Maya. There's
yeah,
sound effects on the Ben has on Steam.
but, yeah, it's called SoundPad. It's a little program, but yeah, I mean, it's got some applications. So it's like, why not? Like it was less than $10, so it's like, yeah, I'll do that because I was trying to figure out how to do other things. It's like this just let me kill that off to where that's not operating space, and now I can worry about important things like
Like
does reality
existence.
exist? If does reality really exist? Do I exist? Maybe I'm a figment of your imagination. Man, you are sick. You are sick.
I dreamt you up. Well, I gave you good taste in ties anyway.
Uh,
Oh, the
yeah.
chat was still getting really, really deep. We got silly. The chat was still deep. The
Hmm.
universe is within, so we should be able to view all parts of ourselves. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Well, that is one thing about hologram theory. Um, I'm not saying I accept it. I'm saying I have no idea. But
Mhm.
hologram theory holds that any part has a image of the whole. So, like
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember you
the
mentioning that.
information in this contains how
The whole
the
universe.
moon. Yeah, I mean it's not clear. They
Yeah.
do talk about that the information is degraded.
Yeah.
But one of the examples in another show that I think it was Y Files that they did in their show that you could take a glass in a hologram and analyze it if it's a hologram in this theory and analyze under a microscope and you could see microscopic organisms and things like that even though it's just a hologram it would contain the information of it and I think that is how Project Stargate wait a minute I'm trying to recall that's how one of them works was that basically information is neither created or destroyed. Information like
Mhm.
matter or energy is not created or
Energy.
destroyed.
Yeah.
You just tune your mind and access it somehow.
It just changes form.
Yeah.
Which I've always found that like when I first heard that, I was like 10 and I didn't get what it meant. But then later when I understood what it meant, I always found it very comforting, like the
Mm,
stuff that came together to make me that was here already in some other form and it'll still be here in some other form when I'm not here like this.
mm.
And I find that weirdly comforting. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things like, religion and stuff you have to take on faith, but like
Yeah.
that's just there.
Well, and that. that was something which about that document that still kind of has me. I don't, tell the honest truth, I don't know anymore. I'm searching, I guess. What
Yeah.
do I believe? I don't know. It's not like, oh, you hate. No, I don't know. I don't know what I believe anymore. That's kind of pathetic, but I guess that's an existential
That's not
crisis.
pathetic at all. I don't think that's pathetic. I think
What do you
that
call that?
not knowing what you believe anymore.
Yeah, that's existential. No, that is a existential crisis. No,
Well, I think
existential
part of
crisis is when
I
you
think what
say,
you call it depends on like how you feel about it and how you're
mm,
approaching it. Like if you're exploring other, ideas and possibilities and theories and stuff, well then you're kind of a seeker, right?
mm, yeah,
If you feel super cynical about it and you just kind of come to the conclusion that well, nothing matters, then you're kind of a nihilist, right? So, how you describe it I think depends on how you feel
Ni-
about it.
nihilism can be very dangerous, especially if you don't
Yeah.
have any other system to. I think it's nihilism. You kind of need another
Yeah.
system to keep it in check, and you say, okay, yeah, you beat you beat the shit out of that system with nihilism, and then you say, okay, this is what's left. But yeah, when you have just nihilism, that's where you get really
The
dangerous
guy
stuff.
that wrote one of my favorite psychology graduate course textbook, I like Irvin Yalom. Like he did the group psychotherapy course. Like he's written other books where he talks more about himself personally, but like he considers himself an atheist, but an existentialist.
Hmm.
He calls himself an existential humanist, which means like he believes that this is, what exists is all there is. He believes that this is what he believes now. He believes there's nothing else after this. And you would think that that would make somebody like really bummed out. Oh, well, there's nothing else. But for him, he's like, no, that actually means, if there's nothing else, then that means this all matters a lot. If this is all there is, then this is what matters the most. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of those things it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
I think his belief system has developed over time, though, so that might not be accurate anymore.
Well, then the this was really an interesting read because I'm convinced that Colonel McDowell, Lieutenant Colonel. I mean, I'd probably have a gazillion of my friends beat me over the head. Oh, there you call a colonel, light colonel, a colonel, you know, ah,
Light.
sergeant.
You
How
should say
about
lieutenant.
Private McDowell?
How dare
Um,
you, sir?
but no, I don't know how much about religion he really knew because he's basically saying, no, this fits Christianity, this fits Judaism, this fits Hinduism. I think he mentions Islam. I
Well,
think
what it's talking about is very broad. It's
it
just like
it is
stuff that
those.
controls the universe.
Yeah, and you say, oh no, this works. It's like, well, I think this a couple of those systems you name off are kind of incompatible. I mean, their view of theology is kind of incompatible with
Yeah.
one another. I mean, Christianity is actually pretty, it's like pretty separate. I mean, I'm not a theological expert by any
Mm.
stretch. I don't claim to be one. I don't even play one. Um, but
I agree, Mr. McMurkbastic. We could all think differently and we could all be correct. I like that.
that that is what it's like. I mean, because this would explain stuff like why everybody's NDE. Well, this wouldn't explain it. What am I saying? And it could be that I think a lot of doctors would try explaining NDE as the near-death experience, as the
Mhm.
brain starving of oxygen. So you see the white tunnel and blah blah blah.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, so maybe that's not a good example. But if these people who have reached these stages, if if they're not all lying, then some of them have seen this.
Yeah.
If I mean, I guess it could be mass delusion, but I wouldn't expect to see that in this form I mean, it seems like you would have, I don't know.
Doesn't seem like it would be a mass delusion any more than anything else is.
Yeah. But I mean, they're all saying that they see other people, they see their own near death experience, they have their own near death experience, and then they see other people's near death experiences.
That part's a little, that's
That,
wild.
that, that I would find to be traumatic. I mean, although it's a near death experience, so does that mean it's only near death experience?
Like, are you
Like,
experiencing the
do they come
scary,
back?
violent parts? Or are you just experiencing that sense of like going towards the light and seeing
Or,
your relatives and stuff?
yeah, because, I mean, from what I understand, what do you call that drug? What's it called? Oh, Joe Rogan was really big on it. Not it,
DMT?
DMT. That to a lot of people, he says that gives them near death experiences.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
have
and then
never done it. I have heard that.
I've heard the whole thing about the bad trip. If
Yeah.
you don't accept it, if you try to hold on to your identity, that apparently you all feel like, or not you all, but apparently people who enter it feel like they're on the edge of losing their identity. If they try to hold on to their identity,
Hmm.
it will cause them to have a bad trip.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I just don't know.
I actually I like this Mr. Merkbasket, at least Merkbastic. At least it's a personal delusion that is real to them, and that is all that is important. Yeah, it is. Like they're like I've talked with people before who like they come up with like memories of trauma and like memories of abuse from when they were like super young,
Hmm.
and they kind of come back to like, well, I was so young, I'm not sure exactly, like, I don't know, like I could be wrong, I could be remembering it wrong. And like what it ultimately comes back to is like, well, how is it affecting you today? Like, how are you experiencing it? Because how you're experiencing it now, emotionally, whatever
Hmm.
objectively happened or didn't happen,
Hmm.
you're still where you are today, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody experiences something as traumatic, then they're going to respond as though it's traumatic. If they experience something as
Hmm.
positive, then they're going to respond that way,
Yeah.
no matter what actually happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, then, I mean, if you hold to, this is actual and everything in this, people have experience, if you accept that everything in this, or most things, you don't have to say it's all 100%, but if most things in this, 75% of this is right, then still you would have people who've gone through the gateway. Yeah, I keep getting my projects confused. The gateway experience that have done it and come back and say, this is what happened to me. The instructor would come back and say, this is what happened to me. The staff would
Yeah.
say, this is what happened to me. Um,
So you said that you talked to someone else who did this, or
mhm.
someone who like went
He's,
through this program when it was like as a military
yeah,
person?
he was, no, you're not military. I do know, I'm considering reaching out. I have a friend who was a Army Ranger and I don't think he was full bird colonel anyway. I think he was also a light colonel. Um, he was in military intelligence.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about reaching out to him, but I think he'd probably, oh, I'm not going to tell you.
That would be interesting if he would be willing like to get his take on it.
Well,
I think
yeah, I
that
mean,
would be really interesting.
I could show him the declassified documents. Says,
Yeah.
hey, you can talk about this, and the timeline matches up. I mean, I don't. I'm pretty sure the CIA didn't abandon this. I mean, the
Hmm.
government rarely abandons stuff. I mean, it probably morphed into something
Except it's
different.
citizens. Sorry, that was cynical.
The government typically doesn't. I mean, it typically only keeps sucking up more, like Baby Huey, and
Yeah.
doesn't typically give things up. Like even if it doesn't work,
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I mean, for Pete's sakes, after NASA, after they got rid of the space shuttle, they still built a platform to handle the space shuttle.
Why would they do that? That doesn't make
They
sense.
got a new platform out there, having those space shuttles. We don't have any shuttles left.
We might change our mind.
I don't know if that's still up. I mean, that was back when that was 2 administrations ago or one. I don't know. It was a while ago, but yeah, but yeah. So I would like to know that. Now, unfortunately, there's probably no way to even find out because if you talk to CIA, or yeah, we're not
If they're
trust
still
us.
doing it.
We never drugged anybody against their will. The whole MK Ultra thing. And Ted Kaczynski and that whole thing. Because he was one of the. It turned out he was one. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was actually an MK Ultra,
I
and they're figuring that might be what
didn't know that.
radicalized him.
Oh my
But yeah,
gosh, I had no
he
idea.
was at one of the schools that it was done at apparently. So now that's coming out. Of course, and no, maybe 10 years ago, they were saying, "Oh, MK Ultra never existed. You're a loony. That's
Wow.
crazy. We
I
would
actually don't
never."
know a whole lot about that. That's a rabbit hole I haven't gone down yet.
Yeah, it's something I've been staying away from. But yeah, you're talking, using psychotropics on people, not all of whom, most of whom weren't willing or
Oh, that sounds
aware
horrifying.
aware it was being given to them. Even
That sounds horrifying.
yeah,
Like I can't think of any well, I can, but that sounds like a terrible psychological experience to be given some kind of hallucinogenic type thing and not know you've been given it. That
you know,
sounds horrifying to me.
I mean, I would like to see music once, just to say I saw music.
Oh, the
But
synesthesia thing?
yeah, um, yeah, they did. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm at this point. I'm just what do you call it? I guess this has all been kind of conjecture anyway. But at
Mhm.
least it's conjecture based off of their own documentation. But
Yeah, yeah.
um, will we know? Probably not. Yeah, they are still doing it, or has the program evolved into something else?
I think that would be really interesting.
And with some of the stuff, yeah. Um, who knows? I mean, before they were literally saying, if you believe in NK Ultra, you're crazy. There was one of the things that they did where they were talking about what was it? How people get radicalized and you're a terrorist and blah blah blah. And that was one of the criteria. And the government came out and admitted it existed.
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know, there's like this cultural image of like a person who believes in conspiracy theories as like
Um,
crackpot, tinfoil hat kind of a thing, but that's not necessarily the case because then there's been things like that they come out and later
mm,
said, "Oh, that was real. That was a real thing that happened." But
mm,
at the time, people probably it makes me think about people differently now
mm,
who like share theories that kind of may sound a little off the wall.
yeah,
It makes me kind of think, well, it sounds a little off the wall to me, but maybe it's not so off the wall and I just don't know it yet.
yeah. Or yeah, and then that was the way. No, actually, I'm lying. I outright reject 90% of conspiracy theories. That's crackpot. But now, yeah, now it's kind of like I don't know what to reject anymore.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, and that was true even after MK Ultra was admitted. It's like, but yeah, I guess
I'm
I'm kind of
generally I'm skeptical of almost everything, but I'm open-minded to the people who believe in it, if that makes sense.
well,
Like,
and
even if I think someone's idea is wacky and I can't get on board with it, I'm still curious about their thought process around it, you know?
and that's the way that and that's I've been willing to try things I would have ordinarily have dismissed as
Yeah.
I've been trying stuff just to try stuff. It's like I don't know if I believe in this or not, but
I think
I
that's
know
great.
I
Trying
know
new things is awesome.
yeah, and if nothing else, it's like I know somebody who's into this. I'm tend to
Yeah.
be very. I guess I'm getting more pragmatic. If it works for me, fine, and justifies needs type of thing. But um, if nothing else, I've learned something about what my friend is into.
Yeah.
No harm in that. I mean,
Exactly.
even if I disagree with it, at least I know a little bit about their interests.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's cool. And learning new things is always great. Trying new things is great. I mean, within reason, obviously.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
trying new stuff is where all that happy dopamine lives.
yeah, and you don't have to be able to paint to appreciate a painting.
Yeah.
I still think the art classes that teach what is this saying to you, that is absolutely horrible because it's like, no, what it says to me is what it says to me. Now you can say what the
Right.
person intended to say because they said it, but
Yeah.
yeah, like what do you call it, impressionistic, where you're trying to compress life down, you're trying to
Yeah.
remove the any upper dimension, you're compressing it, flattening it out, saying this is all there is, distorting it, and things like that. I still, you could, okay, I can accept that, but I still think it looks like shit. But okay, no, no
I
judgment.
get what you were going for. It's not my cup of tea.
I'm not an art instructor, and I'm okay with that. So my dad was, and he almost flunked me, and he would have been justified in doing so.
Oh, wow. Your
Well,
dad was an art instructor?
the
And
first
he
day of,
almost flunked you? Was he
yeah,
your art instructor?
yeah, I think he gave me a D or D minus. I don't remember which. But yeah, like the first day of class, I was sitting on the pottery wheel. I don't know why I did this. I have no idea. I have done. I've seen things I can't explain. I have done things I can't explain. I had a lump of clay in my hand, and I took it and I threw it at the ceiling and see how long it would stick for. And he saw this. It's like, I like to think I was just,
It
you
was an
know,
experiment.
I was experimenting with, stickiness, weight, matter. I was studying physics.
How old
You
were you?
know,
Do you remember?
oh gosh, it was high school junior.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Totally studying physics.
if one of the projects he took, I don't know why he did this. He took one of my old sneakers out of my closet. I don't know why I did this. I don't know why he did it. I don't know why I did it. I used to take the bottom part of my sneakers, tennis shoes, or you want to call them Nikes. You had
Mhm.
the shoe and you have the tread and you have this little band. I used to write obscenities all around it. And he used one of those in the center.
Really?
Here, draw this. For his advanced art students, Mr. Turner, should we put all the obscenities on there too? Oh, that man. You know,
So you were tricksy too.
I I don't know what to say to that. That's downright inconvenient to any argumentation I might have had. I'll have to get back with you on that.
All right, all right. We'll regroup. We'll discuss at a later date.
Even though I admit it, I still deny it. How about that? My
Okay.
powers of self delusion run strong.
You plead no contest.
Um, Temporary insanity or something. But yeah, I don't know. Oh well, I guess that's why this one affected me so deeply because you're talking the nature of reality. I,
Yeah. And you
I,
weren't ready for that. You
I
didn't
guess
realize
so.
that's what you were getting into.
Well, and this is a C freaking IAA. C
Yeah.
freaking IA. Aren't they supposed to be worried about the speed of a Russian Akula class attack sub or
Bay of Pigs, stuff like that.
something like that? Or what are you guys messing around with existentialism and
Yeah. Yeah. Slow your roll, guys. You name
yeah,
really cool projects, but slow your roll.
yeah? What the hell? But I I kind of want to know why the military gets involved in paranormal, and I would really like to know what's the payoff. I mean, is there any? Do they use this? Well, yeah, Project Stargate. There, yeah, okay. Get these. If you're gonna name them Gate with both of them, I'm gonna freaking confuse them. That's on you, CIA. That's not my fault. When you arrest me, I'm sure I'm sticking to. Um,
I would think if they
yeah.
can potentially use it to gain more power or maintain power,
Well,
um,
I
then
know
that's what they gain
that's,
from it.
and it's how they knew Russia was involved in, what the hell was it? It wasn't nuclear. Come on. It was some sort of, it was some sort of, I don't recall now. It was some sort of a thing where they were building big balls, and I don't think they were nuclear. Big metal spheres. Um,
Oh yeah, they made a movie about this idea, like a silly movie about it, but like it was something that they were actually talking about
men
doing.
who stare at goats.
Biosphere?
Oh no, men who stare at goats. I think was,
Oh, okay. I was
but
confusing something with something else.
oh, biosphere. I gotta say, Pauly Shore was actually good in that. The part where him and the Baldwin kid, Steven,
Yeah, it was one of the bold ones.
they're, they are, oh God, it's gross. They're chewing each other's toenails. Oh my
I've
God.
forgotten that part.
Like, oh my God. I
I've
think
forgotten
that's,
that part. I
it,
haven't seen that movie in so long.
it grosses me out completely, but at the same point, at the same time, it's like, that is so gross. That's cool that you did this for a show. Wow, that's awesome. I'm triggered by it, but yeah,
That's funny.
it's like I actually did like stuff with Pauly Shore before he got weird. But
I'm starting to fade. I might
yeah,
have to I might have to
thank
turn in pretty soon. This has been a
thank
blast though.
thank you so much. Thank you for being the voice of reason and sanity.
Well,
And
I don't know if I managed to do that, but I had a good time.
I was having to use quite a few brain buckets going through that. Unfortunately, I had to read most of it because like some of these quotes are like, oh, the nature of reality does not exist.
That's pretty heavy. This is stuff. I would be surprised if you were not having an existential crisis.
I
But it's okay because mountains still exist.
well that and yeah, there's pie.
And there's pie.
Yeah, I'm
If
very
nothing
simple.
else, there's mountains and pie.
Yeah, I'm very simple. Um, yeah.
Mountains and pie. We got this.
Thank you all so much. I do hope you all have a great evening. Kristen, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being the voice of reason, the voice of sanity, the Kristen Melinda. Ladies and gentlemen, she's in town all week. Catch one of her shows. Um, the music act alone is quite interesting. I still think I like to think she's syncing, voice syncing, lip syncing, but I won't tell her
Thank you.
that. And yes, you'll be able to also catch her at the drag races, drag racing cops for pink slips. You'll never take me alive, copper. Yeah.
You'll never take me alive.
But
In my Toyota Corolla, yes.
you guys all take care. Have yourselves an awesome day,
Thanks,
evening,
Ben.
night.
Thanks, everybody.